You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 399, 4 Layers of Qianjun 2. Chapter 399, 4 Layers of Qianjun 2. This short sentence caused Su Yu's expression to turn ugly. It was him. The last time he went to the library, he heard that heart-wrenching cough. It was from that senior sister whom he had never met before. In the top 100 rankings, it was normal for there to be fights. But to heavily injure someone, that wasn't normal. Not being able to hold back, that was a good saying, but could Huang Qifeng really not be able to hold back? This Su Yu wasn't sure, but he judged that it was 99% not the case. The 9th layer of Qianjun, will power 95% full, main divine script, demon race do-divine script, main battle, when fighting, extremely valiant. This was the information that Xia Huyo had gathered. Very strong, the 9th layer of Qianjun combined with the divine script, this fellow was even stronger than ordinary 2nd or 3rd layer 10,000 stones. Zheng Yiming Pavilion Elder's last disciple. Last disciple. Su Yu understood the meaning of this. The last disciple. Of course, it could be that the intermediate researcher could only take in 6 students. Huang Qifeng was Zheng Yiming's 6th student, so he could also be called a last disciple. Huang Qifeng. Su Yu stared at this name for a while. It was this guy who had seriously injured his senior sister. His senior uncle was frowning, and his teacher was also indignant. Unfortunately, they couldn't do anything to him. The rules of the academy were here, and they couldn't do anything to him. If it weren't for the rules, the students wouldn't be so comfortable. While the rules restricted others, they also restricted them. Unfortunately, the polytheistic department really couldn't do anything to him. He wasn't able to fly, and Wuxia was seriously injured. Su Yu had just entered the academy, so who could do anything to him? Bastard! Su Yu cursed in a low voice. I'll remember you. Just wait and see. It was one thing to defeat Wuxia, but his skills were inferior. Everyone was fighting for the top 100 ranking, so it was normal to have disputes. Now that Wuxia was seriously injured, it actually took him 3 months to recover. This was not a light injury. One had to know that the last time Su Yu cut Chen Qi, with some medicinal pills, Chen Qi could recover in 3 days at most. Su Yu defeated Chen Qi and was considered to have crushed him. Even so, it was only 3 days. 3 months, how badly would he have to be injured to be able to do this? Su Yu took a deep breath and packed his things. Blood essence, war god technique will text, heaven-breaking massacre will text. After packing up a few important things, Su Yu thought for a moment, then brought his 2000 June Realm 10,000 Clans original books and walked out of the research center. At first, he thought that there would be a few weaklings who would be abused by him. In the end, he realized that, he was overthinking things. He had already abused the weakest Chen Qi. Now, unless he went to find trouble with Lu Hong's other disciple, he was no match for those people. Even if he had the 1,000-stone realm blood essence, it would be useless. Outside, it was already dark. This was the first time Su Yu had wandered around the campus at night. Target, Mystic Realm area. There were many people during the day, so Su Yu did not want to go. Otherwise, he would be easily disturbed. There should not be anyone in the middle of the night, right? Mystic Realm area, the guards were on duty. Su Yu swiped his card and reported the target Mystic Realm, allowing him to pass through. This time, he came alone. In the distance, the Yuan Qi Mystic Realm's hut was gradually approaching. Su Yu had just walked to the door of the hut when a person walked out. When he saw Su Yu, he was slightly stunned as he said, "Su Yu." Su Yu heard the voice and looked up. He was also somewhat surprised as he said, "Chen Qi." He did not expect to meet Chen Qi here. It was really not like enemies would not meet. Chen Qi's expression seemed to be a little gloomy as he looked at Su Yu in surprise. This fellow, why was he here? Didn't he just break through? Why was he in the mystic realm zone again? Chen Qi's gaze was uncertain as he swept a glance at Su Yu. His tone was somewhat gloomy as he said, "Genius, is indeed different. From the looks of it, you are going to enter the Yuan Qi mystic realm to cultivate?" Su Yu did not reply and continued walking inside. Chen Qi watched him walk in and said faintly, "Su Yu, you hurt me and I lost the mountain-shattering bull essence blood. This is actually nothing. The faster you improve, the earlier you will be unlucky. You want to enter the top 100? If you really enter the top 100, then it will be your unlucky time. The Academy has a rule that students on the top 100 ranking are not allowed to take the initiative to challenge other students. However, once they are all students on the top 100 ranking, the challenge is optional." Su Yu turned around and glanced at him. He frowned slightly and said, "What do you mean?" Chen Qi said coldly, "Su Yu, improving too fast is not necessarily a good thing. Unless, you have the confidence to defeat some guys, or else, you will end up like Wuxia." Su Yu frowned and said in a deep voice, "Chen Qi, are you threatening me?" "Threatening?" Chen Qi laughed, "If it's not a threat, why should I threaten you? It's meaningless. I lost my things and my merit points. I won't be able to enter the top 100 in a short period of time. Why should I threaten you?" Chen Qi laughed gloomily, "I just hope you don't challenge the top 100 list so quickly. If you lose, then what am I, Chen Qi? Trash? Incompetent? Or scum? Su Yu, you don't understand, you really don't understand. At this time, I hope that you can walk higher and walk more smoothly. You can defeat some people and step on them. You don't have to be defeated immediately after defeating me. That only proves that I, Chen Qi, am really trash and mediocre." Chen Qi said faintly, "If you lose so quickly and miserably, I will be even more miserable than you. Now, I really hope that you can step on some bastards. At that time, it can only prove that you, Su Yuqiang, are the one and not a, Chen Qi, a good-for-nothing." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 400, Qianjun 4th Layer 3. Chapter 400, Qianjun 4th Layer. Su Yu was slightly stunned when he heard this. There was such a saying. Chen Qi said faintly, "Be careful when you challenge the top 100. Some guys are not only that strong. Wu Jia relied on his strength to get there. He even prepared to challenge the top 60 students. In the end, he lost so miserably. Do you really think it was an accident? Some people are specifically used to snipe some geniuses. Don't lose too quickly." Chen Qi's faint laughter echoed. In the next moment, he had already left. He was also surprised to meet Su Yu here. In his surprise, he also knew that Su Yu was going to enter the mystic realm again to cultivate and prepare to increase his strength. At Su Yu's level, his goal was naturally the top 100. If he lost, Chen Qi's eyes were dark. Su Yu's loss couldn't prove anything. Su Yu was young, so if he lost, he would lose. But Chen Qi, he would really be nailed to the pillar of shame forever. He had lost so miserably and so happily, but in the end, Su Yu was easily defeated. What could it mean? In the same sect, there were many people, so there were disputes. And it was even more serious. There were resources in the faction, and everyone had the right to take them. Who should they give them to? Who should they not give them to? In any case, it would not be him, Chen Qi. A fellow who was easily defeated by Su Yu, and a fellow who was defeated by his opponent, did not have the right to take these things. Without his blood essence and merit points, he, Chen Qi, was living a life worse than a dog. The family side blamed him, his teacher went into seclusion, and his senior brother called him trash. Although the Great Xia Association did not find out whether he was the one who gave the medicine, their attitude towards him was different now. People despised dogs. If he didn't make it into the top 100, there would be a lot of students like him in the academy. Why should they value him, Qin Chi? It's not even enough for me to make it into the top 100. Suyu must be stronger, so strong that no one can suppress him. Only then will they understand that it's not me, Qin Chi, a trash, but him, Suyu, who is too strong. Since he couldn't prove his strength in a short period of time, he could only prove the strength of his opponent. When the other people in the same faction also suffered under Suyu, would they still have the face to mock him? The more they laughed now, the worse they would fall. Use the strength of the opponent to show off your own strength. At this moment, Suyu also understood Qin Chi's meaning. Just like when he fought with Qin Chi before, using Qin Chi's strength to show off his own strength before attacking Lin Yao. Interesting. Suyu suddenly realized that there weren't many idiots in Civilization University. Perhaps they were very proud at the beginning, but after being slapped in the face, these guys would quickly adjust themselves and not pester them. Lin Yao was like this, Qin Chi was like this. After they failed, they didn't keep finding trouble with Suyu, and they didn't keep trying to make things difficult for Suyu. Instead, they quickly adjusted their mentality. On one hand, they were strengthening themselves, and on the other hand, they were thinking of ways to make up for the loss of face. And this method was very simple, to make Suyu stronger. Strange logic. Qin Chi had clearly just left the Yuan Qi mystic realm. This fellow was indeed rich. At this moment, he actually had the money to come to the mystic realm. It was unknown if it was free or for a fee. In the hut, the two old guards were still there. Seeing Suyu enter, the two of them had sensed it before. It was not strange, but they were a little surprised. The old man surnamed Huang said, "You have only been in there for a few days, are you sure you want to go in? It hasn't even been 10 days. The last time you advanced to the third layer of Qianjun realm, you consumed a huge amount of energy. You might not even be familiar with your acupoints. Are you going in now?" He was trying to persuade Suyu not to waste it. 100 merit points wasn't a small amount either. Killing an early-stage soaring heaven realm cultivator was only a small amount of merit points. Besides, the divine literature department wasn't rich, so what was the point of wasting it? "Teacher, I've done some calculations. 100 merit points and 20 drops of Yuan Qi liquid. As long as one absorbs enough, it won't be a loss. I feel that it shouldn't be a loss." Suyu smiled honestly. Elder Huang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He explained, "That's what you say. In fact, Yuan Qi liquid is very valuable to the Yuan opening realm. For the 1000 June realm, one can absorb the heaven-earth Yuan Qi. The cost-benefit ratio isn't high, so it's not as good as merit points." With that said, he added, "Even if you absorbed 20 drops of Yuan Qi liquid and spent 100 merit points, it would still be a loss. Doesn't your department have that filter room? The effect of cultivating by that side is not bad either." Suyu scratched his head and said with a smile, "Teacher, I still want to give it a try. The last time I was here, I realized that my cultivation and enlightenment were very fast. I think that the Yuan Qi mystic realm is helpful for enlightenment, so I want to give it another try." With that said, Elder Huang did not say anything else. After thinking for a moment, he said, "You are right. The Yuan Qi mystic realm is formed from divine runes, and it is indeed somewhat helpful for enlightenment. However, you did not stay for long enough. Your acupoints were not opened, and Yuan Qi filled them. Without a new acupoint being opened, the time you stay will be limited, and the help will be limited." "Understood." Suyu nodded and said, "Teacher, I will give it a try. If the effect is not good, I will not come next time." "All right." Elder Huang did not try to persuade him further. He checked Suyu's information and nodded. It was not bad. The accumulated merit points had exceeded 100. 100 merit points. Remember, do not run around. Stay in the Qianjun region. There is no one inside now. Got it. It was best if there was no one. Su Yu was delighted. If there was no one, he could cultivate unscrupulously. It was the same method as last time. After entering the door, the world spun and Su Yu appeared in the Yuan Qi mystic realm once again. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 401, The Four Layers of Qianjun 4. Chapter 401, The Four Layers of Qianjun 4. In the small house. Elder Huang waited for Su Yu to enter before asking, "Old Nie, what do you think?" "What?" "I say, that kid Chen Qi." Elder Nie said nonchalantly, "Don't be so jumpy all the time. What's the point of caring so much about the schemes of a child?" Elder Huang hesitated for a moment before saying, "It's not that I care too much. I'm just afraid that it won't be good if we continue to fight like this." "Tell me, should we care about it? There's no competition and no pressure." Elder Nie's opinion was the opposite of his. He said directly, "I think that only when the fight is fierce can there be strong people. Actually, I don't think it's too good for the civilized university. Each and every one of them has too many schemes and ideas. According to my opinion, since Chen Qi lost to Su Yu, he should fight to the death with him. This kid just wants Su Yu to defeat others to prove that he's not weak. What a coward's idea." "He's a coward." Elder Huang said speechlessly, "You can't say that. Is it a good thing to blindly show off and be competitive? There's still a chance in the university, but on the battlefield, it's equivalent to losing your life." "Then what else do you say?" Elder Nie said directly, "Since he can't kill anyone, if he's really crippled, then he's crippled. Rather than dying at the front line, it's not bad to be an ordinary person at the back." Seeing him say this, Elder Huang didn't say anything more. After a moment of silence, he suddenly said, "How long do you think he can stay this time?" "About an hour. He hasn't opened any new acupoints, so the time he can stay is even shorter." "An hour isn't considered short." "That's true. This kid is still anxious." The two chatted for a while, then quieted down again. They closed their eyes to cultivate and didn't care about Su Yu anymore. "There's no one here. It feels so good." At this moment, Su Yu was also very happy. There was no one in the Qianjun region. This time, he really had to cultivate properly. Ever since he experienced the rapid progress here, he could open one aperture in 2 to 3 days in the filtration room. Su Yu felt that it was too slow. This speed was already scary enough if it was spread out. But for Su Yu, it was still not fast enough. 108 apertures, and only 38 had been opened up so far. There were still 70 more. 1 in 3 days, that would still take 7 months. Challenging the top 100, no matter what, he would still need to go to the 7th layer of Qianjun realm. That would still require him to open 84 apertures. Su Yu was still far from that. Sitting cross-legged, the first piece of the War God technique, the text of the will, was opened. It was in the Qianjun realm, written by Bai Feng, and familiar words. At the same time, the will of the art of heaven breaker was also read. A drop of mountain-breaking ox blood essence entered his stomach. This time, it was not for cultivation, but to open the cultivation method of mountain-breaking ox in the Wanchur realm. Mountain-breaking ox, 2nd level of the Wanchur realm. Basic skill, mountain-breaking strike, blood essence open. Basic origin technique, body strengthening technique, Wanchur chapter, blood essence open. As expected, the information had changed. Although he had spent a drop of blood essence, Su Yu did not feel any heartache. Next, it was time for him to show off his skills. Another drop of blood essence entered his mouth as the body-strengthening technique circulated. In his body, one acupoint after another was temporarily opened. At this moment, Suyu was watching with his will in the air. His entire body was glowing as more than 100 acupoints had been opened. These 100-odd temporary acupuncture points rapidly absorbed the surrounding yuan qi. The yuan qi in the area was extremely dense. Gathering yuan qi, he began to clear Suyu's 39th acupuncture point. The 100-odd acupuncture points absorbed yuan qi at an extremely fast speed. Yuan qi shook the acupuncture points, and the originally dim acupuncture point in Suyu's body gradually began to glow. More than 10 minutes later, there was a boom. The acupuncture point had been opened. The blood essence's strength was quickly depleted. Suyu was overjoyed. Although he had exhausted the blood essence's strength, opening an acupuncture point with a drop of blood essence was already very satisfying. Before that, he had to devour 2 to 3 drops of the iron-winged bird's blood essence to have any hope of opening an acupuncture point. Although 2 to 3 drops of the iron-winged bird's blood essence might not be comparable to a drop of the mountain-shattering ox's blood essence, the crux was that it was fast. It saved time. There are still 58 drops of essence blood. If I open another 58 apertures. Suyu's mouth was wide open. Could it be that he could open 97 apertures this time? Of course, he knew that it was impossible, but he still could not hide his excitement. Even if he did not open 58 apertures, 57 was still possible. Keep a low profile, keep a low profile. I can't open too fast, or else I'll be sliced. If it really doesn't work, I can open some more body-strengthening technique apertures or lay Yuan Dao apertures. Suyu comforted himself. At most, he would only be able to reach the 6th layer of Qianjun. If there was too much of him, it would be too scary. If there was still blood essence left, he would think of a way to open other acupoints. At worst, he could come back next time and cultivate to the 9th layer of Qianjun. Suyu was dreaming. Reality proved that he was thinking too much. An hour later, Suyu consumed 6 drops of blood essence and opened 4 acupoints, opening a total of 42 acupoints. 2 hours later, Suyu consumed a total of 13 drops of blood essence, and opened another 3 apertures, a total of 45 apertures. 3 hours later, he consumed 20 drops of blood essence. At this time, Suyu was opening the last aperture of the 4th level of the L'Art Art War God, which was the 48th aperture. While cultivating, he was observing the will text of the L'Art Art of War God, written by Fengfat. At this moment, the will text was shining. Suyu had been staring by Feng cultivating in the will text. Double bonus. As for the large amount of willpower consumption, he didn't care anymore. As Suyu quickly observed the will text written by Feng obviously started to dim, and the consumption was huge. And at this moment, one of the words in the War God technique gradually dimmed. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 402, Qianjun 4th Layer 5. Chapter 402, Qianjun 4th Layer 5. Fight. The acupuncture points were still opening, and Suyu could already feel that a divine text was slowly forming and outlining. The 4th divine text was forming at this moment. Fight. In the Sea of Will, the divine text had just formed, and the kill divine text flashed, and with a poochie sound, it pierced through the fight character. Suyu didn't even need to expend any energy, and in the next moment. The kill God text didn't shatter the God text. Instead, like a sun, it carried the fight God text into the small knife. The small knife flashed slightly, and the fight God text was like a baby. It found a basic light spot and squatted inside. Suyu was dumbfounded. This could work. So weak? No, it wasn't that the God text was weak. It was that teacher, wrote it too weak, right? The divine text written by the soaring sky realm was completely useless against the divine text written by the mountain and sea realm. In Su Yu's opinion, at this moment, out of his 4 divine texts, the word blood should be the strongest. It was a little close to a rank 2 divine text. Next was the word kill, followed by the word thunder, and finally, the weak word fight. The word blood was strong because it absorbed too much blood. It also absorbed a lot of remnants of the divine text. This fellow had the ability to absorb, and if the word kill wanted to be strong, Su Yu guessed that he might need to fight more. Only by fighting more would he have the hope of honing the word kill to the second stage. Just as Su Yu's thoughts were running wild, there was a rumbling sound from within his body once again. The 48th aperture had been opened. The 4th critical mass. At this moment, large amounts of yuan qi gathered and washed over Su Yu's body. His body was strengthened once again, and some remnant blood seeped out of Su Yu's body. It had already been 3 hours since he entered. In the small house. The 2 old men looked at each other and stroked their beards before continuing to close their eyes and cultivate. The one who said an hour earlier, was not them. That kid was not human. He actually stayed for another 3 hours the second time he entered. It was simply cheating. It couldn't be that he had to stay for 5 hours like last time, right? From the looks of it, the rewards from this trip would not be small. Sigh. Sigh. They understood by Feng a little. No wonder he wanted to brag when he came last time. He had to brag. Who would want to be slapped in the face? The 2 of them had guessed for an hour before, so Su Yu did not hear it. There were no outsiders here either. Otherwise, they would have slapped their faces more. Next time this kid comes, no matter what the situation is, I guess he can stay for 24 hours. If he can't stay for 24 hours, then he's useless. Both of them had the same thought. I said 1 hour, and you slapped me in the face. I said 24 hours, and you slapped me in the face again. At the same time, they had other thoughts. Genius, this kid is definitely a genius, not inferior to that genius from Zhangjin College. That one, 8 years Ling Yun. How many years does Su Yu need? How many years does Bai Feng need? After a few years, it would be fun for both master and disciple to advance to Ling Yun together. When it was the 5th hour and Su Yu still hadn't come out, Elder Huang was already used to it. He said, should we report it? Su Yu is definitely a physical cultivation genius. He might be more suitable for Zhangjin College. Elder Nie said unhappily, you make it sound like our college doesn't have any physical cultivation powerhouses. Report it to the higher-ups, and Principal Zhou and the others will also know. Is it appropriate? I'm a little worried now. If we really suppress him too much, it'll waste his talent. Elder Huang hesitated for a moment, he nodded and said, then we won't report it. I don't think this kid is that naive. Last time, he won quite a lot of merit points against Chen Qi and the others. With merit points, he even reached the merit level here. This kid. I think he's a ruthless person. A dog that bites doesn't bark. I think he's seen blood before, and he's killed people before. 100 merit points and above. Among them, more than 50 points were marked as assisting in killing the enemy. The details were unknown. But according to the time, Su Yu was only Kaiyuan then. Kaiyuan, assisting in killing the enemy. He got more than 50 merit points. Who would believe that this fellow was a simple and honest man? Old Huang would slap him to death. That idiot Chen Qi met Su Yu here. Did he guess that this fellow was ruthless or did he not guess it? The chances were that he had guessed it. Otherwise, Chen Qi would not have said those words. Clearly, he had also thought of something. Su Yu had already come once. He had used up the free opportunity that the academy had given him. To come back so quickly, it was obvious that he had accumulated enough. At this moment, Elder Huang shook his head and could not help but laugh. He realized that his reaction speed was not as fast as those brats. Only now did he realize this problem. Chen Qi probably realized this problem the moment he saw Su Yu. In addition, after being defeated by Su Yu, he also felt that he had been tricked, so he knew Su Yu's character very well. This character of his. Elder Huang muttered, "It reminds me of someone." "Who?" "Wan Tiansheng." Elder Huang whispered, "The one who bites." Cough cough. Before becoming the manor head Wan kept a very low profile and looked very honest. In the end, once he took over, things were different. He acted like a good man. Everyone knows that he's evil. Manor head Wan. Elder Nie thought for a moment and said with a smile, "He's really not too evil." "Hee, you don't know. If you want to talk about smiling tigers and biting dogs, don't bark." The second-ranked manor head one of the great Xia manor and the first-ranked one, is in business. Him. Elder Huang raised his eyebrows and said, "I've heard some things." "Is that true?" "It's true. Of course, you can just forget about it. This person is very evil. Everyone only knows that he likes to scam money. Scamming people's lives is better than scamming money." As Elder Nie spoke, he seemed to be a little afraid. He transmitted his voice, "Don't go out and talk nonsense. This person is also not big-minded. He doesn't care if you call him Fatty Xiao. That's because he didn't take advantage of him. He took advantage of him, you'll see." Elder Huang hurriedly nodded his head as he thought of some rumors. In other words, it might not be a rumor anymore. At this thought, he sighed. "We aren't strong enough, perhaps it's because we aren't black-hearted enough." A thought flashed through Elder Nie's mind. "Take a look at these fellows. Their smiles were brilliant, but in truth, they were frighteningly dark. Principal Wan liked to laugh, Master Xia liked to laugh, and those who would laugh at the drop of a hat, were gone. Terrifying. That kid who had just entered, seemed to like to laugh as well. Damn it, there aren't many good people who like to laugh." Elder Huang cursed in his heart. He was already so old, yet he only reacted now. In the next moment, he thought of another person and suddenly said, "Did Lu Wenyan like to laugh back then?" "Quite like it." As expected. Elder Nie seemed to have guessed what he was thinking and said in amusement, "And Lu Hong, he especially likes to laugh." "Don't laugh, I'm a little scared now." Elder Nie was speechless. "This old fellow, I rarely laugh once in a few decades, yet you still want to say this." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 403, The Joy of the Institute of Civilization 1. Chapter 403, The Joy of the Institute of Civilization 1. At around 11 p.m., Su Yu entered the mystic realm. It was not until dawn and around 5 a.m. that Su Yu came out. 60 drops of blood essence were gone. Only at this moment did Su Yu truly understand the use of the Yuan Qi mystic realm. Yuan Qi was actually secondary in his opinion. The key was that there seemed to be no bottleneck in the Yuan Qi mystic realm. As long as one broke through, one could continue to break through. Once the blood essence was absorbed and exhausted, one could continue absorbing the blood essence once the aperture was opened. Including the recovery of one's willpower, it was much faster. It was a very mystical place. Of course, the prerequisite was that one could really continue breaking through. In fact, the so-called no bottleneck was just Su Yu's own feeling. After staying for 6 hours, he had used up all his blood essence. 600 merit points were done for. He had read the text of the will of the Art of War God for an entire night and outlined another divine text. It was also about to be done for 300 merit points. Entering the mystic realm, 100 merit points. After calculating, Suyu looked up at the sky, doubting his life. 1,000 merit points. This was still not the official price. If it was the official price, it would be 1,300 merit points. If it was traded on the black market, it could be exchanged for 65 million. It could buy an entire building in his neighborhood. No, it could buy 2 buildings. Last time, he had also spent over 1,000 merit points. Suyu had entered the secret realm twice and spent close to 3,000 merit points. Even if he had a mine at home, he would not be able to withstand such expenditure. Even a single Ling Yun might not be able to support Suyu. He would need mountains and seas to do so. Suyu was depressed and doubtful of life. Elder Huang and Elder Huang also looked at him strangely. He had stayed for 6 hours. At this moment, it was not appropriate for them to use their willpower to investigate this kid. However, Suyu had just come out of seclusion. The vital qi in his acupuncture points was so abundant that it was almost overflowing. These two were both Ling Yun. At a glance, Suyu had at least 50 to 60 vital qi vortexes in his body. 50 to 60 acupuncture points. Seeing that this kid was about to leave, Elder Huang had a doubtful expression on his face. He could not help but ask, Suyu, how's your cultivation? Just as so. Suyu forced a smile. From start to finish, he had spent close to 3,000 merit points. In total, he had opened 61 apertures. 1,000 June 5-stage realm. One aperture was actually worth about 50 merit points after opening it. It was too frightening. He still had 47 apertures that had not been opened. Didn't that mean that he still needed more than 2,000 merit points? Which family's child would spend 5,000 to 6,000 merit points to open a 1,000 June stage? This wasn't even considered divine literature. He had to eat money. Cultivation was fast, but Suyu couldn't afford to eat so much money. He had prepared 2 months' worth of cultivation resources and finished it in one night. If he had a mountain and sea realm father, there would naturally be nothing he could say. But the key was that Suyu didn't have one. If this went on, what would he do in a few days? Now that he still had 246 merit points, Suyu felt that he couldn't live anymore. SOSO. Elder Huang wanted to slap him to death, but this was called SOSO. Why the hell did you call this SOSO? Feeling a little powerless, Elder Huang coughed lightly and said, your state is too obvious. I can tell with one look that you have broken through quite a bit. Let me help you cover it up. Don't be polite. With that said, a divine light erupted in his eyes. Willpower was like a shield, covering Suyu and sealing off the yuan qi that was overflowing from him. Suyu blinked and did not react for a moment. However, he still thanked him, thank you, teacher. You're welcome. Elder Huang also smiled, smiling somewhat smugly. I'll help you conceal your realm, alright? At the same time, I'll really satisfy my curiosity. I'm really curious how many tricks you have opened up. Suyu felt a little uncomfortable. This old man smiled so wretchedly. He did not stay any longer. Elder Huang had helped him seal off the overflowing yuan qi. Suyu also felt that it was quite good. Otherwise, it would not be good if he was seen on the road. He left. After he left, Elder Huang suddenly slammed the table. Bang! Holy shit! Elder Nie looked at him and was a little stunned. What are you doing? 61. Elder Huang swallowed his saliva. He could not help but be shocked. How many? 61. Elder Huang said in shock, before this kid went in, he could only open up to 40 at most, at most. He was only a few days away from the last time he opened up to 36. I count him as one every 2 days, and he could only open up to 40 at most. This kid. This time, he has opened up to more than 20. Bang! Elder Nie kicked the counter and quietly withdrew his foot. He said calmly, not bad. Scram, stop pretending. Elder Huang scolded, you said that 20 enlightenment at a time is not bad. Is it your son who has this ability, or is it your father who has this ability? You're scolding me. Elder Nie's gaze was dangerous. I'm not scolding him. Elder Huang did not admit it and quickly said, it's true, this kid is abnormal. I can smell the rich scent of blood essence. Can you smell it? I can smell it. Elder Nie did not bother with him and said, the mountain-breaking ox's blood essence seems to be in the 10,000 stone realm. There's quite a lot of it. When he came, I actually sensed it. This kid came prepared. He is constantly devouring the blood essence to cultivate. Devouring the blood essence of the 10,000 stone realm? Elder Huang said in shock, this works. Can this kid's body withstand it? No, he withstood it. Not only did he withstand it, but this kid also swallowed a lot of blood essence. With such a rich smell of blood essence, is it a mutation of the body, a bloodline inheritance, or the influence of divine runes? Elder Nie shook his head. This was hard to determine. Unless Su Yu said it himself, no one knew what the situation was. In any case, Su Yu must have swallowed a lot of blood essence to cultivate. A lot, at least dozens of drops of 10,000 stone blood essence. This is the critical mass. Elder Huang did not say anything else, but said with some emotion, critical mass. Can his martial skills keep up? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 404, The Joy of Civilization College 2. Chapter 404, The Joy of Civilization College 2. It shouldn't be a big problem. Elder Nie said suspiciously, I can feel the existence of many writings of will on him. One of them, seems like it was written by a Shanghai realm warrior. As he said that, he said uncertainly, it seems like. The heaven-breaking kill written by a Shanghai realm warrior. That feeling is very familiar, it should be heaven-breaking kill. Hong Tan wrote it. It doesn't look like it. It's not Hong Tan's aura. Moreover, Hong Tan isn't in the academy right now. The two old men looked at each other and suddenly thought of something. It was said that someone had lost a book of will last time. Could it be such a coincidence that this brat had picked it up? The water is very deep. Elder Huang sighed and didn't say anything else. This water was really a little deep. The items that were lost by the single divine symbol system were in Su Yu's hands. Chance, coincidence. Or, someone was setting up a trap. At the same time. Nature garden, special class area. With a bang, the table was slammed. Jing Yunhui stared with his eyes wide open and cursed, say it again, who took away my heaven breaker? Lu Ha snapped, why are you getting angry at me? I didn't take it away. I overheard my brother say that the killing intent that erupted during the last fight between Su Yu and Chen Qi was a little different. It wasn't a simple, heaven-breaking kill. It had the lingering charm of a mountain and sea inheritance. Jing Yunhui stared at him and recalled that he was also at the scene that day. At this moment, when he recalled that horrifying killing intent, Jing Yunhui gritted his teeth and said, so, it's very likely that it's my copy? This bastard. No, I bought it from your brother. He has to pay me back. Lu, he scoffed, there's already a saying on the black market. Once the school sweeps it up and the goods are lost, neither side will pursue it. If you lose it, it's your bad luck. Now that I can tell you that this thing might be in Su Yu's hands, it's enough to let you down. After saying that, Lu, he stood up. Anyway, I've told you. Think of a way to go yourself. Right, you have to get it back as soon as possible. If it's too late, your willpower will dissipate and that thing will be useless. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Jing Yunhui snorted and scolded, don't give me that. Lu Ha, are you trying to incite me to make enemies with Su Yu? Lu, he said contemptuously, incite you? Is there a need for that? I just don't like him. I'm telling you openly to make enemies with him. When did I incite you? I'm clearly telling you to quickly find fault with him. Is this called inciting? Jing Yunhui wanted to curse. F***ck. People from the Institute of Civilization were really despicable. They did bad things in a righteous manner. It was only natural. He thought that Lu He wanted to defend himself, but who knew that not only did this guy not defend himself, he even said it bluntly. Telling him was asking him to find trouble with Su Yu. Lu He stood up and walked away. As he walked, he said, "You old Jing family have money, but you can't waste something that costs 1,500 merit points like this. And sometimes, even if you have money, you might not be able to buy the will of a Shanghai realm cultivator." Scram! Jing Yunhui cursed. Lu He turned to look at him and smiled. Very arrogant, I like it. Jing Yunhui, if you enter the top 100 list earlier, I will beat your grandfather until he doesn't recognize you. You are arrogant with me? Jing Yunhui's face turned black. What the F***ck, he was crazy. He felt that the people at the Institute of Civilization were all abnormal. Jia Mingzhen, Xia Chan, Wan Mingze, Hu Qiusheng. In any case, none of them seemed normal. Even that Su Yu and that Xia Huyo, in short, when he came to the Institute of Civilization, he realized that the people here were all abnormal. They were all like lunatics. No wonder his grandfather always said that the Institute of Civilization was a gathering place for lunatics. A bunch of lunatics. This Lu He is the same. Didn't you ask me to find trouble with Su Yu? Why are you threatening me again? Jing Yunhui's heart was tired. A wise man does not take a loss in front of him. In the next moment, he said in a low voice, "Please get lost. F***ck, wait until I enter the top 100, then you can be arrogant again. At most, I'll admit defeat and withdraw from the top 100. What can you do to me? F***ck, what are you pretending to be?" Lu He was slightly stunned. Jing Yunhui said unhappily, "Why aren't you getting lost? You're still using the top 100 to threaten me. What's the matter? I went in, I came out, I went in again, I came out again. What can you do? I went up for a day, you challenged me, and I admitted defeat. What can you do? You're an old student, compared to my new student, what's the point of being arrogant? Wait until I have a body of 10,000 stones, I'll hammer you to death." Lu He suddenly felt that he was indeed helpless against him. He smiled, gritted his teeth, and quickly turned around to leave. Fine, you're ruthless. This fellow was also shameless. What could he do? After he left, Jing Yunhui spat and scratched his head. Ask Su Yu for it. Can he give it to me? It felt like there wasn't much hope. However, this fellow, Su Yu, seemed to be quite easy to talk to. Why not give it a try? After all, he had paid 1,000 merit points. If he didn't get it back, he really wouldn't feel good. Just as Lu He said, no matter how rich the Jing family was, 1,000 merit points could not be wasted. Furthermore, the Shanghai realm heaven-breaking kill was really rare. If it's any later, it would be useless if this brat used up all his willpower. Jing Yunhui was helpless. He knew that Lu He had bad intentions, but he still had to take it. If he did not take it, who would be willing to waste 1,000 merit points? Su Yu came out of the secret area and returned to the research center. He took a short rest and was ready to go to class. When he left the door, he suddenly remembered something. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 405, The Joy of the Institute of Civilization. Chapter 405, the joy of the Institute of Civilization. He didn't feed the guys in the detention area. How many days have I not fed them? Suyu blinked, as if he hadn't fed them once. The day he came out of seclusion was the 4th, and today was the 9th. Forget it, it's only a few days anyway. I'll feed them when I come back in the afternoon. He had been too busy recently. It wasn't just this matter that he hadn't done. Besides going to Zhao Li's place once last month, he hadn't been there once until now. Uncle Master still wanted him to get close to him. How could Suyu have the time? Enlightenment, sketching divine runes, basic courses. If it wasn't for the fact that he didn't have money, Suyu really wanted to stay in the research center and train hard for a few months before talking. Thinking about it, he had just walked out of the research base when another person appeared in front of him. Suyu recognized the other party and nodded. He said, "Good morning, Student Zheng. Just call me Zheng Yunhui." Zheng Yunhui did not stand on ceremony, and directly said, "Suyu, there's something I want to ask you." "Speak." "I bought a Shanghai Realm heaven-breaking killing will essay in the black market." Suyu's heart skipped a beat. Damn! The main character was here. He did not tell anyone about him picking up this thing, and probably only his teacher guessed a little. How did Zheng Yunhui know? "Lu, he told me." As if he knew what Suyu wanted to ask, Zheng Yunhui didn't hide it. He couldn't be bothered to hide anything for Lu He. He directly said, "He said that it's with you." "Suyu, is it true?" Suyu thought for a moment. It didn't seem to be of any use even if he didn't admit it. He smiled and said, "Yes, it was by chance that I obtained a copy of Heaven Breaker. But Student Zheng, to be honest, this thing doesn't have a name, nor was it exchanged by the Academy. There's no record of it either. You said that it's yours. You wouldn't want me to give it to you, right? This is too naive. No matter how stupid I am, I wouldn't do this, right?" Suyu said sincerely, "Think about it from another perspective. Student Zheng picked up this thing, would he return it to someone else? If there was a record to prove that it was yours, it would be fine, but there isn't one now." Zheng Yunhui was a little depressed. He knew it. Just as Suyu said, this thing didn't come from a proper source. If it wasn't on record, then it was lost. It was useless even if it was found by Suyu. After thinking for a while, Zheng Yunhui said, "Previously, I offered 1,000 merit points. The price for this item was 1,500 merit points. Suyu, you should have seen it a few times now. If you return it to me, I will make up for the 500 merit points. To be honest, it is enough to see this item a few times. If you see it too many times, it is actually not very useful. 500 merit points." Suyu hesitated for a moment and slowly said, "How about this, I'll lend it to you to look at once. How about you give me 100 merit points?" Zheng Yunhui was in a daze. What a genius. F***ck, this kid actually knew how to do business. Show him once and take 100 merit points from him. Suyu said again, 500 merit points, you can look at it 5 times. How many times do you think it's enough to look at it? 5 times should be enough, right? How about this? You have gained something, I have gained something. Maybe you can learn it all after 3 times and save 200 merit points. You even earned something, what do you think? I earned something. Zheng Yunhui shook his head. How did I earn something? I gave you money to look at my own things, and then I earned something. What situation was this? It sounded as if it was true, as if I really earned 200 merit points. Zheng Yunhui was speechless, and after a long while, he then said, Suyu, how about this, I don't want it. You can show it to me a few times, not to mention 100 points, it's too expensive. If you show me 10 merit points once, I'll be able to cultivate my character. The will of the Shanghai realm won't be so easily destroyed. I'll look at it a dozen or 20 times, and I won't lose anything. What do you think? Su Yu looked at him in surprise. This guy gave up just like that. Jing Yunhui saw his surprise, but he didn't care. He smiled. That arrogant bastard Lu, he wants to use me as a spear, so why should I be a spear for him? My goal is to see the heaven-breaking killing of the Shanhai realm, not to find trouble. If you show it to me, we can discuss. If you don't show it to me, then I have no choice. Su Yu, this grudge is definitely formed. Jing Yunhui smiled and said, if you show it to me, you can still have some gains. You don't have to follow the will of Lu. You might even have made a friend of mine. What do you think? Su Yu was just about to speak when Jing Yunhui said again, my grandfather is Jingping. Su Yu was at a loss. Jing Yunhui was speechless. Didn't you know? My grandfather is the head of the Great Xia War Institution. Su Yu suddenly understood and was a little surprised. He really didn't recognize her. He only knew that Xia Chan was a member of the Xia family. The Great Xia family, the Xia family was too famous. As for the others, he guessed that Wan Mingze might be related to the head of the Great Xia War Institution. The others really didn't pay too much attention to it. The Zheng family of the Great Xia family wasn't the only one. Head of the Great Xia family. The Great Xia War Institution. This was definitely a formidable character. Su Yu thought about it, he said, I'll show you once at 30. If you're willing, let's work together. If you're not, then forget it. This thing is a consumable. Once at 10, you're looking down on the Shanhai realm too much. Moreover, there's a limit. I'll show it to you 5 times at most. Every time, you have to look at it from my side. I'll keep an eye on it from your side. Otherwise, if you snatch it away, there's nothing I can do about it. That's fine too. Jing Yunhui seemed to be easy to talk to. Seeing that he was easy to talk to, Su Yu thought for a moment and raised his eyebrows. Jing Yunhui, do you lack money? What? Do you lack merit points? Jing Yunhui looked at him in surprise. He said speechlessly, who doesn't? Do you really think that all of us don't lack money? No matter how strong the elders are, they won't always provide you with unlimited funds. The money I spent on this thing is the entire sum of my fortune. My grandfather won't sponsor me again unless it's 10,000 stones. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 406, The Joy of the Institute of Civilization 4. Chapter 406, The Joy of the Institute of Civilization 4. Su Yu said, let me tell you something. Lu Hong may have deliberately lost your item and I picked it up. Su Yu thought of many things at that moment. He gritted his teeth and said, the reason why I picked up this item has something to do with Lu Hong. He deliberately whispered to me that he had lost this book somewhere. That's how I found it. In the end, he sent his younger brother to look for you and insisted that the thing was with me. He must have done it on purpose. Su Yu was even more certain now. Gritting his teeth, he said, he deliberately wanted us to fight. Of course, he is an enemy of our faction. This is not strange, but you. He deliberately lost your thing. Do you believe it? Jing Yunhui raised his eyebrows. Deliberately lost it? He did this. Does he not want to do the black market business anymore? Jing Yunhui was a little surprised and said, the black market is also about reputation. Moreover, the last time the school raided, it was indeed an accident. He must have taken advantage of the situation and did it conveniently. Su Yu said affirmatively, absolutely. Then what do you mean? Get it back. Su Yu gritted his teeth and said, on Lu Hong's head, get your losses back. Jing Yunhui's interest was instantly piqued. Get them back. That's 1,000 merit points, how are we going to get them back? Let's talk as we walk. As Su Yu walked, he said, didn't he ask you to cause trouble for me? Then just do it. Let's have a private duel and think of a way to get him to bet. What do you think? When Zheng Yunhui heard this, he was first excited, then he reacted, he shook his head and said, there are too many uncertainties. Moreover, Lu Hong might not place a bet. Even if he placed a bet, it might not necessarily be him who placed the bet. You also don't know who he wants to place a bet with. He might not place so many bets. Researchers have the nature of gambling, but a duel between students is just a small matter to them. Lu Hong might not even be interested in it. Suyu had just had a flash of inspiration when he thought of this idea. At this moment, he nodded when he heard it. Indeed, there were too many uncertainties. But he really wanted to scam Lu Hong once. This fellow was always going against him. He was too unhappy. At this moment, Zheng Yunhui suddenly smiled and said, if you really want to scam Lu Hong, there's actually a way. What? A powerhouse like Lu Hong has to target his weakness. I knew it. Lu Hong has actually been keeping an eye on your literary and Tan research center. As he said that, Zheng Yunhui said with a smile, Suyu, how about this? Let's have a private duel. No one knows about it. With Heaven Breaker as the bet and a portion of your research center's information. I'm talking about fake information. Let's see if we can scam Lu Hong. Sell the information to him. Suyu reacted and said hesitantly, you mean, if I lose, I'll give you the information, and then you'll sell it to Lu Hong? That's basically what you mean. Zheng Yunhui said with a smile, of course, Lu Hong might not believe it. After all, you just entered the research center and your status is still low. You might not have access to any secret information, and he might not believe you and me. Suyu scratched his head and muttered, that's true. My status is still low, so he might not believe it. With my current strength, what secret information can I access? Then, Suyu raised his eyebrows and said, what do you think? If my teacher cooperates with me? Tomorrow, my teacher will announce that I can officially join the project research of the Wen Tan Research Center. Then, I will have the right to access some secret information. Huh? Zheng Yunhui looked at him in surprise. Your teacher cooperates with you? Why does it sound like your teacher listens to you? He knew Bai Feng well. He was unruly and not a kind person. His grandfather had told him before that if he became powerful, he would be the first to look for trouble with Bai Feng because that fellow was too despicable. He had previously provoked Zhangjin College. Suyu ignored him and said, if my teacher cooperates with me, do you think the credibility will be very high? Of course, but Assistant Bai. Suyu smiled and said, I will convince teacher. After all, he is my opponent. He will definitely be happy to scam Lu Hong. Of course, if I really scam him, I will have to give my teacher a share of the money, 3 shares. As Suyu said this, his interest was piqued. He smiled and said, my teacher will definitely not believe me if I scam him. If I scam him, he will also have to guard against me. But if you go, he might not be able to guard against you. Sell him a set of information for 5,000 merit points and your capital will be back. Moreover, he was the one who tricked you first. He deliberately lost your things and wanted you to find trouble with me. This fellow is the most black-hearted. He is the most black-hearted of all the teaching assistants in the academy. He has no moral character. He is a smiling tiger. Suyu cursed a few times, then, he said, of course, if I recklessly use the Research Institute's information to trade, there will be many loopholes, unless I take a risk and have no choice but to do it. For example, if you come up with something especially good as a bet, I will go and gamble. Zheng Yunhui's eyes flickered, don't tell me, there really is. My grandfather, one of the strongest people in the Great Xia Mansion. A few years ago, I killed a Ling Yun realm celestial on the battlefield and obtained 10 drops of Ling Yun blood essence. How about this, I'll use 3 drops of Ling Yun blood essence to bet with you. The value of your heaven-breaking massacre is not enough. With some data, it's enough. Celestial blood essence. Su Yu cursed in his heart. What a filthy rich man. How rich? Don't look at me like that. It's my grandfather's, not mine. However, I can borrow it. If I borrow it, no one will dare to snatch it from my grandfather in the great Xia mansion, unless your principal. No, our principal is shameless enough to come and snatch it personally. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 407, The Joy of the Institute of Civilization. Chapter 407, The Joy of the Institute of Civilization 5. Zheng Yunhui was also excited. He whispered, I'll use the real thing to bet with you. If he doesn't believe me, he has to take out the Protoss blood. Let's not make a big deal out of it. Let's be cautious and cautious. Let's make a bet that we know about. Then, we'll think of a way to let him know that the more mysterious the better. After all, the stakes are not to be seen. Su Yu was also shocked by this guy's boldness. He even dared to bring this thing here. Thinking of this, he could not help but say, why go through so much trouble? Why don't we just sell Ling Yun's blood essence to him directly? We can trade it on the black market. Then, your grandfather will come out and say that he stole his blood essence. He will beat him up and take back his blood essence. Zheng Yunhui stared at him with his mouth agape. Damn, you're ruthless. This isn't Zhanjiang College. In other words, if this was Zhanjiang College, this would really be useful. Black market trading was illegal. If the head of the Zheng family came out and beat him up, confiscating his blood essence, and being a little more evil, framing him for a crime, then Lu Hong would be in big trouble. It's fine if we trade blood essence, but this thing is too taboo. It's easy for people to target it, and it's a real thing. If we really lose it in the black market, I won't even have a place to reason with them. People will die, and my grandfather will definitely beat me to death. If I have it in my hands, that's fine. Whoever snatches it will be a bastard of the Myriad Clan sect. It won't work if I enter the black market. Zheng Yunhui rejected this suggestion. This kid, Su Yu, had quite a dark heart. We'll still do as we said just now, Zheng Yunhui said a little excitedly, don't say that. I'm quite excited about making a hole in the sky. If we really succeed, Lu Hong will be treated like a pair of pants, but he won't be able to find fault with us. There's no way to get the transaction information out in the open. As for whether the plan was feasible, this was uncertain, but there was hope anyway. However, Zheng Yunhui quickly said, no one might believe this plan. The main reason is that you're not strong enough. Although you have the 10,000 stone talent blood essence, to be honest, I'm not a weakling. You don't have the confidence to beat me, but you dare to steal the information. You're almost crazy, unless you give people the feeling that you can definitely beat me and have a trump card. Otherwise, you'll be cutting off your own future. Zheng Yunhui quickly reacted. You're a genius, cutting off your own future to send me information. Even a fool wouldn't believe it. I think this loophole is very big. Su Yu smiled and said, that might not be the case. Why didn't I have any hope of winning against you? Zheng Yunhui laughed and said, counting on that blood essence, really, that's not reliable. Let's put it this way, I'm at the 7th layer of Qianjun, and my temperament isn't low. My divine runes are also strong, so you might not be my match. This included using the blood essence. Su Yu laughed and said, don't be too confident. Even you don't believe that I can beat you. If I really have a chance to beat you, then Lu Hong will naturally believe that I dare to bet. What other trump cards do you have? Su Yu smiled and said, there's no rush. It's not enough for now. In a few days, I'll first expose myself to Lu Hong. As for you, just pretend that you don't know. Qianjun 5 Dan was still a little lacking. If he was Qianjun 6 Dan or 7 Dan, no one would know. If only Lu Hong knew, then would Lu Hong believe him if he knew about his bet? Then, the chances would be great. Lu Hong felt that he could win for sure. If he dared to bet with the information, then there would be no problem. When the time came, wouldn't it be logical for him to lose to Zheng Yunhui? Zheng Yunhui did not quite believe it. Of course, it did not matter if he did not succeed. He was only interested when Su Yu brought it up. Otherwise, he would not have expected to scam Lu Hong. Strength was not proportional. Then we'll talk about it later. Zheng Yunhui smiled and said, but from today onwards, the two of us have to be a little more hostile. I, a member of the old Zheng family, have a fiery temper. I'll learn from my grandfather. Lu Hong scammed me because he thinks that I have the same temper as my grandfather, right? The members of the Zheng family would explode at the slightest provocation. Zheng Yunhui was somewhat different. If he was not, he would not have come to the civilized university. Zheng Yunhui said again, let's split up. When we get to class, I will find trouble with you. After some time, we will see if we can trick Lu Hong. Even if we don't trick Lu Hong, if we become enemies, we might be able to lure some people out. Zheng Yunhui became even more excited. This feeling, it feels great to be scheming behind our backs. I keep feeling like we're the bad guys. Civilized university, it's great. I feel like being a bad guy here is definitely exciting. In the old Zheng family, there was no place for him to put his skills. A family of boorish people would always raise their fists. It was boring. Civilized university was still the best. All the students he met would resort to underhanded schemes. He liked it. Look at this honest person, Su Yu, scheming against others behind their backs. Zheng Yunhui realized that he had fallen in love with the civilized academy. It was extremely exciting. The people here were good at talking. Even students dared to cheat their teachers. In Zhanjing Academy, he had to use his fists to speak. Zheng Yunhui left excitedly. He felt that the civilized academy was the place where he could become famous. Only here could he display Zheng Yunhui's abilities. He could also tell others that his old Zheng clan wasn't all boorish fellows. Su Yu watched him leave and smiled. He was somewhat interested. The Institute of Civilization was indeed very interesting. Zheng Yunhui, this fellow, did not look that honest. He looked rather burly. He had thought that he was someone like Chen Hao. In the end, when this fellow suggested to spend money to read, Su Yu knew that he had made a mistake. P.S. Please subscribe. So miserable. So pitiful. There is no way out. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 408 is for people with plans 1. Chapter 408, Chapter 116 is for people with plans 1. Advanced class. Su Yu arrived first. He had only been in the advanced class for a few days. Su Yu was also very low-key. When he arrived, he buried his head in his books and became an honest straight-A student. Today was the God language usage class, so there were quite a few students. The classroom was very quiet. There were only a few students who were familiar with each other. From time to time, they would whisper to each other in a very low voice. It was as quiet as ever. Just as everyone remained silent, a person entered the classroom. The person came straight for Su Yu. In the next moment, a shadow covered the area. Su Yu raised his head. Beside him, Wu Lan saw Zheng Yunhui. She snorted and ignored him. Those who were stronger than her would usually only say that they would catch up to her very soon. She could not look down on them. Just as Wu Lan finished humming, Zheng Yunhui slammed the table. Bang! The loud sound shocked the entire class. Su Yu. Zheng Yunhui's voice was very loud. At this moment, he was furious. "Give it to me." Su Yu frowned and looked at him. He said calmly, "Student Cheng, what do you mean?" "You know what I mean." Jing Yunhui said coldly, "You are the first person who dares to snatch something from me, Jing Yunhui. Hand it over yourself and don't force me to make a move on you. This is the civilized academy. You want to make a move on me?" Su Yu looked at him and frowned slightly. "Besides, what are you talking about? I don't understand what you mean at all. Don't play dumb with me." Jing Yunhui shouted coldly, "I spent more than 1,000 merit points to buy it. It's real gold and silver. You took it away just like that. Su Yu, do you really think I don't know?" As soon as he said this, Su Yu's expression changed. The other students, many of them had blank expressions. Why did these two have a conflict? On the other side, Xia Huyo, who was chatting with others, had a change in expression. More than 1,000 merit points. At this moment, he seemed to have realized something. The last time, Su Yu had asked him where the lost Heaven Breaker was. When he was competing with Qin Chi, Su Yu had used Heaven Breaker. In fact, he had been a little suspicious last time. As expected, this time, the main character had found him. This guy Su Yu had really picked up Heaven Breaker, and Jing Yunhui even knew about it. This guy Su Yu, his luck is too good. Xia Huyo muttered in his heart, but he was also a little helpless. Su Yu wanted to challenge the single god text department, and he also wanted to find an opportunity to open a bet. However, Su Yu was obviously not Jing Yunhui's match. Jing Yunhui was at the 7th stage of the Qianjun realm. Speaking of which, he was a little stronger than Xia Chan's physical body realm. At this moment, Xia Chan was still 1 or 2 acupoints away from the 7th stage of the Qianjun realm. The last time he asked Su Yu to challenge Xia Chan, it was just a joke. At least not now. Xia Huyo thought in his heart and hurriedly walked over. He laughed and said carelessly, "The two of you, harmony begets wealth. What can't be discussed properly? If you insist on making a scene, everyone will know. It will be unpleasant." Su Yu said calmly, "I didn't provoke him. The moment he came, he slapped my table and pointed at me to scold me. Jing Yunhui, do you think I'm easy to bully?" "Bully?" Jing Yunhui said coldly, "I don't think it's beneath me to bully a weakling. If you take my things and return them, I won't bother with you. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you." "I don't understand what you're saying." "Su Yu, don't be so shameless." Jing Yunhui shouted coldly, "You know it in your heart. You know better than me what you used to defeat Qin Chi that day. Do you really want to force me to explain it clearly?" It was not good to explain things from the black market in public. However, at this moment, many people had some reactions. The black market. Jing Yunhui. Su Yu, defeated Qin Chi. These people weren't stupid, and they quickly came up with some news. Heaven Splitter. At this moment, many people had strange looks in their eyes. Su Yu was so lucky that he had picked up that thing. No wonder Jing Yunhui was furious. Over 1,000 merit points wasn't a small amount to anyone. Some people knew, while others didn't understand the situation. Wu Lan was not clear about this. When she saw Jing Yunhui's loud roar, she was unhappy. "Jing Yunhui, if you want to quarrel, get out. Don't quarrel with me." Jing Yunhui glanced at her, he said coldly, "Shut up, it has nothing to do with you. Wu Lan, don't think that just because you have a Mountain Sea Realm Elder, my grandfather is the head of Zhangjing College, so what? If you are not strong enough, you better keep a low profile. You." Jing Yunhui did not wait for her to finish. His aura surged and his yuan qi exploded. He suppressed his willpower and said coldly, "You want to challenge me? I will accept it. Wu Lan, believe it or not, I will cripple you so that you won't be able to cultivate for 3 to 5 months." Jing Yunhui laughed coldly, you don't need to interfere in the matters between Su Yu and me. When a weakling like you defeats someone like Lin Yao or Qin Chi, you can come and interfere again. Weaklings, dare to participate in the disputes between the strong. Wu Lan's face turned red. She was filled with grief and indignation. At this moment, Su Yu's three-layered aura burst forth, barely counteracting Zheng Yunhui's suppression. Wu Lan was not even 1,000 pounds, so she was naturally no match for Zheng Yunhui. Zheng Yunhui, we are all classmates. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong is not something that a genius should do. Hee hee. Zheng Yunhui no longer targeted Wu Lan and said disdainfully, I still disdain to compete with weaklings. Su Yu, didn't you defeat Qin Chi before? Didn't you have the ability to burst forth with 10,000 stone combat strength? Do you think you can scare me like this? The conversation between the two made Wu Lan want to crawl into the ground. She was ignored. She was regarded as the weak by them and didn't even have the right to speak. Wu Lan's face was flushed red. She felt that she had no face to see anyone today. She had embarrassed herself to the extreme. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 409 is for people with plans too. Chapter 409 is for people with plans too. I want to become stronger. Wu Lan roared in her heart. I want to become stronger. Zheng Yunhui was stronger than her, and so was Su Yu. Under the pressure of Zheng Yunhui's aura, she could not even move, but Su Yu was able to offset it. The gap between her and Su Yu was getting bigger and bigger. When she was in Southern Origin, Su Yu was also at 8th level of Kaiyuan in the beginning, and so was she. She raised her head and looked at Zheng Yunhui before looking at Su Yu. The more Wu Lan thought about it, the angrier she got. Her face turned redder and redder. It was as if she was being steamed in a steamer, like a red-hot crayfish. Zheng Yunhui took a glance out of the corner of his eye and was secretly shocked. Could it be that Wu Lan was angered to death? Why don't you take a breather? It's really scary. I'm really angered to death. I'm in big trouble. Wu Lan was angry, and Lin Yao was also angry. What do you mean by people like Lin Yao and Qin Chi? Zheng Yunhui, this bastard, was really infuriating when he spoke. However, seeing that Wu Lan couldn't even move under Zheng Yunhui's pressure, Lin Yao was helpless. He couldn't afford to provoke Zheng Yunhui. It was impossible for him to be a match for Zheng Yunhui. He's at the 7th stage of Qianjun, and his willpower is also very high. At this moment, the expressions of Xia Chan and the others were also very solemn. Zheng Yunhui even had the strength to challenge the top 100 rankings at this moment. If the divine prose was not weak, this fellow could even compete with some students who were at the bottom of the top 100 rankings. He was very strong. Although Xia Chan, Wan Mingze, and the others were also very proud and confident, they really did not have the confidence to face Zheng Yunhui now. Their physical body realm was not as good as Zheng Yunhui's. Zheng Yunhui was the only one in the class who had broken through to the 7th stage of Qianjun. One was Zheng Yunhui, and the other was Zhao Shiqi. However, Zhao Shiqi's willpower was not strong, and Xia Chan and the others still had the confidence to defeat him. However, Zheng Yunhui's willpower was also very strong, which made him very difficult to deal with. He might even be the strongest person in the class. In the corner, Jia Mingzhen and the other old geniuses were also watching the show with great interest. Su Yu took his things. Could it be that, heaven-splitting killing? It should be. Last time, I also felt some of old Ghost Chio's inheritance aura from Su Yu. I was still puzzled, but now I know. The old Ghost Chio he mentioned was a Shanghai realm expert from the Nine Heavens Institute. This heaven-splitting killing also originated from him. The few of them watched the show with interest and asked telepathically, will Su Yu return it to him? You're thinking too much. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't return it. You've obtained the things that were lost in the black market. Will you return it? That's true. This kid from the Zheng family will not let this matter rest. There will be a show to watch. That's hard to say. Su Yu's strength is too lacking. After saying that, this pavilion elder swept a glance at Su Yu and did not dare to probe further. They were currently hiding their identities, but he still felt that something was not right. He reminded everyone, look at Su Yu. Has he improved? Why do I feel that there are more Yuan Qi vortexes condensing around him? He has broken through. The few of them looked at Su Yu one after another. They did not use their willpower, but they were experienced. After looking at him for a while, Jia Mingzhen said suspiciously, it seems like someone has sealed his Yuan Qi fluctuations and deliberately hid his strength for him. It's a little like old Huang. This kid went to the Yuan Qi mystic realm previously. In that case, this kid might have really broken through and reached the fourth layer of the Qianjun realm. The few experts had sharp eyes. Even if they did not use their willpower to probe, after looking for a while, they came to a conclusion. Su Yu might have broken through. Not to mention, with their innate skill blood essence, it might not be impossible to fight him. However, this kid from the Zheng family is very powerful. Su Yu might not be a match for him. That's right. The few of them made a judgment. Even if Su Yu had the innate skill blood essence, how long would it last? According to the information they received, it would be considered amazing if it lasted for 1 minute. It would probably be very difficult for Su Yu to defeat the grandson of the head of the great Xia Zhangjing College in 1 minute. While they were chatting, Su Yu's expression gradually turned ugly. Jing Yunhui, don't go too far. Even if I have that thing, it's something I obtained with my own ability. You want to snatch it from me? Snatch? Jing Yunhui sneered, you have the nerve to say that. It was originally mine. Su Yu, cut the crap and return it to me. Aren't you very arrogant? Didn't you defeat Qinqi? I'm challenging you now. If I win, return that thing to me. If I lose, I'll never mention this again. Su Yu said calmly, I'm sorry, I have no interest in fighting with you. It's meaningless. Coward, coward. Jing Yunhui mocked, you're just afraid of losing. You don't dare. Su Yu ignored him and continued reading. Coward. Jing Yunhui shouted coldly, do you think you can escape? Even if you don't accept the challenge now, when you enter the top 100, I will cripple you. Just like your senior sister, you will lie in bed for a few months. Bang! Su Yu slapped the table and looked up at him with a fierce glint in his eyes. After a moment, Su Yu calmed down. Jing Yunhui, it's almost time for class. There are some things we can talk about in private. Do you really want to make a fool of yourself? Jing Yunhui snorted coldly. All right, I will talk to you properly. Su Yu, you took my things and you want to fool me like this? Impossible. I'm not that trash, Lin Yao. My family background, and strength are all better than yours. I'm usually too lazy to bother with you, but you really think too highly of yourself. Su Yu clenched his fists. His face darkened. At this moment, the others were also silent. They looked at Su Yu from the corner of their eyes with some sympathy. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 410, was for people with plans 3. Chapter 410, Chapter 116 was for people with plans. Su Yu really couldn't beat Jing Yunhui. It wasn't until the teacher entered the classroom that Jing Yunhui returned to his seat. The class was frighteningly quiet, and Su Yu's expression had always been ugly. Wu Lan, who was beside him, even felt that Su Yu was trembling. It wasn't from fear, but from anger. Wu Lan, who was originally very angry, was no longer so angry. It wasn't until the end of class that Wu Lan suddenly said, when I'm in danger, I'll go and beat that bastard to death. Su Yu, I'll let you know that I'm stronger than you. After saying that, she left in a hurry. It was obvious that she was going to become stronger. Su Yu was speechless. You want to prove that you are stronger than me? Why did you beat Jing Yunhui to death? Strange logic. Ignoring Wu Lan, Su Yu carried his bag and walked out with his head lowered. Jing Yunhui looked at him from behind. He said coldly, Su Yu, if you don't return the things, we are not done. Don't force me to challenge Wuxia now. A student who has been in the academy for a few years, don't tell me that you don't dare to accept the challenge. If Su Yu is a turtle, does your senior sister want to be a turtle too? You dare. Su Yu suddenly turned his head and his eyes were filled with anger. Jing Yunhui, you've angered me. He. Jing Yunhui didn't think much of it. Then return the item to me. Why don't you fight with me? If I lose and my skills are inferior to others, I naturally won't bother you anymore. Su Yu, you coward, do you dare? Su Yu clenched his fists. At this moment, Xia Huyo pulled him and pushed Su Yu away hurriedly. As he walked, he said in a low voice, don't be provoked. He's at the critical stage and his willpower is strong. He can't win against him. Not only did he lose Heaven Breaker for no reason, he even lost the match. Why is there a need for that? Let's hide for a while before we talk. Su Yu did not say anything. His face was gloomy. This was the first time Xia Huyo saw him so angry and gloomy. He could not help but say, you're improving fast. Even though he's also improving fast, his foundation is good. Su Yu, wait a little longer. I know. Su Yu did not say much. He quickened his pace and said, thank you. I don't need to be comforted. He, Jing Yunhui, bullied me today. I will get back at him. After saying this, Su Yu sped up and left. After Su Yu and Jing Yunhui left, the rest of the class immediately began to discuss. Su Yu has provoked Jing Yunhui. This is big trouble. Jing Yunhui came from Zhanjing College and has a fiery temper. Jing family members are all like this. If Su Yu doesn't return his things, he might really go and challenge Wu Jia. If Wu Jia doesn't dare to accept the challenge, he will lose all the face of the Divine Literature department. How can Wu Jia accept the challenge? He's still injured. Jing Yunhui isn't much weaker than some of the top 100 students. Wu Jia's strength is greatly reduced now. Once he accepts the challenge, he'll be even more injured. Will Su Yu return the things? I don't know. If it were me, I wouldn't return them either. Who would return the things that were lost in the black market? Moreover, Su Yu's family background isn't good. He himself couldn't even afford to buy these things for a few years. Now that he has them in his hands, will you throw them away? Everyone discussed animatedly. Usually, people didn't like to talk, but now that there was gossip to watch, everyone was interested. On the other side, Wan Mingze saw Su Yu leave in anger. He said thoughtfully, Su Yu might not be able to hold it in. He just defeated Qin Qi, and he's already so agitated by Jing Yunhui. I think he might end up fighting Jing Yunhui in the end. At the side, Zhao Shiqi laughed and said, I don't know if it's a secret fight or a public spar. If it's public, we can see just how strong Jing Yunhui is. Su Yu swallowed the blood essence and unleashed his battle strength of 10,000 stones. We can at least force Jing Yunhui to see just how strong he is. Wan Mingze said, public, the possibility is not very high. After all, it's a black market transaction. If it's really public, aren't they afraid that the Academy will directly confiscate the Heaven Splitter? That's true. Their eyes flickered. These few days, they had to keep an eye on these guys. These two might even have to fight in private. Of course, the probability of Su Yu losing was very high, especially high. Wan Shi's combat strength was very strong. But what Su Yu unleashed was only Wan Shi's attack power. It was only for a short while, and it wasn't as if he had reached the Wuxia realm in all aspects. Speed, martial skills, experience. They were all far inferior to the real 10,000 stones. Under such circumstances, Zheng Yunhui, a warrior from a powerful aristocratic family, might not really care about Su Yu's sudden outburst. The first time, Chen Qi was not prepared. Now, everyone knew that Su Yu's threat was greatly weakened. In the office, Lu Hong was still having a headache about the black market. When he heard the knock on the door, his worried expression disappeared. He regained his smile and said, "Come in." Lin Yao hurriedly entered the door and then told Lu Hong about what had just happened with some schadenfreude. After saying that, Lin Yao said with some excitement, "Teacher, is that thing really on Su Yu's body?" "Probably." Lu Hong said with a faint smile, "Previously, I had guessed that it might have been taken away by him. When he defeated Qin Chi last time, the heaven-breaking massacre that he unleashed was not something that a beginner could learn. In that case, he and Zheng Yunhui could be considered to have fallen out." Lu Hong was not too surprised, but he was a little curious. Zheng Yunhui did not go to Su Yu in private to ask for it, but insisted on asking for it in class. Wasn't he afraid that if the matter really got out of hand, the school would intervene? However, young people were impulsive and hot-blooded. It was normal for them to get carried away easily. He also knew a little about Su Yu. If he was not confident, he would definitely not accept Zheng Yunhui's challenge. From the looks of it, Su Yu was not prepared to return this thing, and it was in line with his expectations. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 411 was all about people with plans for. Chapter 411, Chapter 116 was all about people with plans for. It was Zheng Yunhui, who had a little bit of wisdom and even knew how to use Wuxia to provoke Su Yu. Once the injured Wuxia was really challenged, there was an 80 to 90% chance that she would still fight. At that time, Su Yu would probably be in trouble. Interesting. I'd like to see what Su Yu will choose. Lu Hong's interest was piqued. He actually didn't care whether Su Yu won or lost, nor did he care whether Wuxia won or lost. He was only thinking about how Su Yu would choose between Heaven Breaker and Wuxia. It was normal for him to ignore it. Wuxia would just refuse the challenge herself. Everyone knew that she was injured. If she really refused, no one would say anything. Of course, Su Yu didn't dare to accept the challenge, and Wuxia didn't dare to accept the challenge either. The extra divine runes department would more or less suffer a blow. The already tragic situation might be even more tragic. Thinking of this, Lu Hong waved his hand, indicating for Lin Yao to leave. After Lin Yao left, Lu Hong stroked his chin and quickly made a call. He said, "Zheng Yunhui and Su Yu had a conflict. It seems that the previous plan was quite successful, but it's a pity that my Heaven Breaker." On the other side, a somewhat happy voice sounded, "I already know about the matter. Su Yu and Wuxia are the only two successors of their school. It's best to implicate the Zheng family and Hong Tan in the matter and let the Zheng family and Hong Tan fight, then we don't need to worry about the Divine Literature School anymore." Lu Hong smiled and said, "I hope so. For the sake of this plan, my losses are not small. In order to make Heaven Breaker lose reasonably, a lot of things in my black market have been wiped out. Senior brother Zhou, you see, on Elder Zheng's side, do you want to put in a good word for me? I really can't bear it on my side. I haven't seen the results yet." Zhou Pingxing said, "Right now, it's just a struggle between the younger generation. To be honest, it's not worth it to invest so much on a younger generation and waste so many merits." Lu Hong cried out aggrievedly, "Bai Feng is in seclusion, and Chen Yong won't leave the library. I can't do anything about it. I've already tried my best to use the younger generation to implicate them. If I don't handle it properly this time, they will become enemies with the Jing family." Director Zhang and Hong Tan might not become enemies over a copy of Heaven Breaker. Lu Hong said hurriedly, that's why I need more support. We'll see. The call was cut off. A sinister look flashed across Lu Hong's eyes. F***CKU again. Tapping lightly on the table, Lu Hong thought for a moment, then took out another communicator and dialed a number. What? Bai Feng's impatient voice sounded. Your disciple is fighting with the kid from the Jing family. Oh. Lu Hong only casually mentioned it. Very quickly, he said, you guys should fight back. Now that you guys are cowering so much, my value is not high anymore. Bai Feng, why don't we let Director Chen vent his anger and show his presence? All of you are cowering and not moving. I can clearly feel that they are no longer interested in my plan. Bai Feng was speechless. How could he vent his anger? Wait, we'll talk about it in a few days. Lu Hong said angrily, in a few days. In how long? F***CK, I'm even more worried about your situation than you guys. Who is from the polytheistic faction? You guys are so weak and look like you're waiting for death. Who will value you guys? If you don't value them, where will you get the support? The strength of the many divine runes was related to his situation. If the enemy wasn't strong, why would they invest too much in themselves? This was what those people thought. Recently, Lu Hong could feel the change in their attitude. Previously, Bai Feng had displayed his might and defeated Hu Wensheng. In those few days, his treatment had obviously increased because everyone was counting on him to hold Bai Feng back. Bai Feng also said in a bad mood, it will only take a short while. What can I do? After I'm done with the matters at hand, Suyu will have grown up and my strength will be even stronger. When that time comes, I'll naturally have you guys to watch over. What's the rush? You. Lu Hong was powerless to retort. He said helplessly, it's a pity that Su Yu is still too weak. Otherwise, after defeating Jing Yunhui, it means that he has the confidence to enter the top 100 list now and create some pressure for those guys. It's best to torture those guys on the top 100 list to death. When that time comes, you guys will be valued once again. How can it be that fast? Bai Feng said weakly, he has already improved very quickly. His foundation is much weaker than Jing Yunhui's. If we give him a little more time, his growth speed will also be very fast. Lu Hong, I'm not in a hurry, so what are you in a hurry for? Nonsense. Lu Hong cursed. How can I not be in a hurry? I finally managed to obtain some benefits from the higher-ups. Now that it's about to disappear and I'm restored to my previous appearance, how can I not be in a hurry? Ever since the news of his teacher's death spread, his treatment had been getting worse by the day. His teacher had been locked in seclusion, and his faction didn't have much authority anymore. If there were any good things, they would first provide them to others, such as that trash Hu Wensheng. Only then would they consider him, Lu Hong. Otherwise, how could Hu Wensheng have the right to ride on his head? Bai Feng, if you continue to be so nonchalant, forget it, it's up to you. Your faction deserves to have their heritage destroyed. With your nonchalant attitude, how can an outsider like me care less about it? Lu Hong was furious as well. Bai Feng was also frustrated. He took it seriously, but wasn't strength not allowed? Then, how about I come out of seclusion and defeat you? What do you think? Lu Hong was speechless. It seemed to be the case. If Bai Feng really came out of seclusion, he would be the first one to look for him. No matter how he put it, he did not seem to have any good ideas. Sigh. I don't know if it's the right move for you to go against the Jing family. Why don't we let Su Yu return the Heaven Breaker? After returning this thing, Jing Yunhui probably could not be bothered to argue with Su Yu anymore. This was how the Jing family behaved. Bai Feng thought for a while and said, we'll talk about it later. I'll ask Su Yu for his opinion. It's good to give this kid some pressure so that he doesn't get carried away. Bai Feng felt that it was good to give Su Yu a blow. Ever since he entered the academy, this guy had always been smooth sailing. He had never suffered a loss before. If he suffered a loss this time, this kid might explode even faster. The two of them hung up. At the same time, Su Yu returned to the research center. The gloomy expression on his face disappeared, and he was a little excited. He didn't know if he was acting properly, but did the others suspect him? Not to mention, Jing Yunhui was a burly fellow. He really did act as though he was the real deal. Lu Hong must know by now. I just don't know if he will fall into the trap. However, the sudden appearance of the Research Institute's information is a little too sudden. It has to be reasonable. Jing Yunhui taking out the God and Demon blood essence is too sudden. It would be best if he had merit points first, but he didn't have any. He took out a drop of God and Demon blood essence to make me increase the price. I don't have any money, and I covet his blood essence, so I took the risk. Su Yu pondered over his plan for a while. He began to fill in the blanks and perfect the plan. He didn't want the plan to appear too abrupt. One look and it was obvious that it was fake. When he thought about how he could scam Lu Hong for a large sum of money, he became excited. These past few days, this shameless Lu Hong had been bullying a child of his. It was really infuriating. It's best if teacher cooperates with me. It shouldn't be a big problem. Su Yu thought to himself. He felt as if he had forgotten something. In the detention area. The golden lion roared weakly and scolded, "That kid. Is he dead? B****, don't tell me they want to starve us to death and directly use the corpse to study." The shadow said faintly, "Speak less and save your strength. Otherwise, you'll die even faster." The lion shut his mouth. At this moment, he seemed a little lonely. The seduction plan had yet to start, and he might starve to death here. Bastard, what on earth is that kid doing? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 412, Honest Man Su Yu, thanks to the wild little boy from the Milky Way Alliance for the tip, 1. Chapter 412, Chapter 117 Honest Man Su Yu, thanks to the wild little boy from the Milky Way Alliance for the tip, 1. Su Yu did not stay in the living area for long before Bai Feng came up from the ground. Teacher. Bai Feng nodded slightly. He was not in a hurry and looked like he had a wise pearl in his hand. He sat down, poured some tea, and looked at Su Yu. Very good, this kid really did not have any intention of pouring tea for me. He's not a man. The matter has been exposed. Ah. Bai Feng said plainly, that kid from the Jing family is looking for trouble with you. Teacher, you. What do you think you can hide from me? Bai Feng said plainly, I sensed it on the first day you picked up that thing. Now you're in trouble, right? Su Yu wanted to say something but hesitated. Bai Feng smiled and said, the Jing family is huge and powerful. This matter is very troublesome, even if teacher. Teacher. Su Yu looked at Bai Feng who had everything under control and said dryly, Teacher, it's fine. The Jing family is fine. I know you're under pressure. It's fine. With teacher here, it's not a problem. Bai Feng said calmly, don't forget, we also have a Shanhai realm, and we're even a divine arts master at the 8th level of the Mountain Sea realm. It's not like we're afraid of the 9th level of the Mountain Sea realm warrior of the Jing family. No, teacher, it's really fine. There's no need to make such a big fuss. When Su Yu heard that, he was about to use his grandmaster, he hurriedly said, it's really fine. I've already agreed with Jing Yunhui that he would pay 30 merit points to watch my heaven-shattering killing once. Pfft. As the tea sprayed out, Bai Feng frowned and said, overnight tea? You didn't boil water today? Su Yu wanted to laugh, but he held it in. He hurriedly gave Bai Feng a way out and said, overnight tea. Teacher, I'll boil water right away. When Su Yu ran to boil water, Bai Feng had a face full of question marks. What was going on? Didn't they say that these two fellows were going to fight to the death? Why did they come to an agreement? That fellow Jing Yunhui even paid to read a book. What was going on? It was different from what I knew. That bastard Lu Hong, have you figured it out? Could it be that thing doesn't belong to Jing Yunhui? Bai Feng was a little puzzled. What exactly happened? Soon, Su Yu returned. Bai Feng coughed lightly and regained his composure. Tell me, what's going on? Teacher, it's like this. Isn't Lu Hong our great enemy? Su Yu quickly recounted what had happened. Bai Feng held his teacup and didn't say a word for a long time. His disciple, a little fellow at the critical mass realm, was prepared to scheme against an old pervert at the 8th level of the soaring heavens realm. It sounded like something was going on. Of course, it was hard to say whether he would succeed or not. But, he was really bold. When I was in mortal danger, did I ever think of taking revenge on those in the sky realm? I didn't even think about it. These two brats had directly started to operate it. This generation was really bold. Moreover, what they wanted to scam wasn't a small amount. It was tens of thousands of merit points. If they succeeded, Lu Hong would probably really go bankrupt. Not only would he go bankrupt, he would also have to be his pants. That wouldn't do. Bai Feng was startled awake. If he really used Lu Hong as a pair of pants, then who would provide for him in the future? That's not right. Lu Hong's family assets were already in his hands. Who cared if he would provide for him or not? Lu Hong would think of a way himself. If this fellow was too useless, he wouldn't even bother with him. Bai Feng continued to drink the overnight tea. From the corner of his eye, he glanced at Su Yu for a while. He said with some uncertainty, "You're not Jing Yunhui's match. You knew that you weren't his match, yet you insisted on competing with him. You even lost the research lab's information. Are you sure that someone will take the bait? Who would believe this kind of competition where you knew that you were giving things to others?" Su Yu hurriedly said, "Teacher, I still have the confidence to win. Moreover, I give the feeling that I can win for sure. Definitely win." Bai Feng could not help but laugh. "Even if you devour the blood essence and explode, you do indeed have the battle strength of 10,000 stones, but everyone already knows that. This can only be said." "No." Su Yu hurriedly said, "Teacher, this is what I think. Everyone thinks that I am at the 3rd stage of Qianjun and have grasped 3 divine runes. In addition to the blood essence, my strength is much stronger than they imagined. That's different." Su Yu explained, "Teacher, you said that I'm at the 6th layer of the Qianjun realm and have mastered more than 3 divine runes. I have 4 or more divine runes. Does that mean that I have a greater chance of winning?" Bai Feng smiled and said, "Of course. If you're only 1 layer lower than him, with the blood essence and more divine runes, of course, you have a greater chance of winning. Even a fool knows that the more divine runes we have, the stronger our combat strength is. Then that's it." Su Yu chuckled and said, "Everyone thinks that I have a chance of winning. Then, I will naturally have a smooth battle with Jing Yunhui. After all, it's 3 drops of Lingyun realm divine devil blood essence. The value is shocking. How can I not be tempted? But, if you delay for too long, Jing Yunhui will also become stronger." Just as he finished speaking, Su Yu said, "It can't be, teacher. I'm already at the critical moment. Can't you see it?" Bai Feng's body stiffened for a moment. He glanced at Su Yu from the corner of his eye, but he couldn't see it. That's not right. It seemed like some bastard used his willpower to help him seal the seal. Bai Feng's body stiffened slightly, and his willpower burst forth. When his teacher looked at his disciple, he didn't have so many scruples anymore. Under the burst of willpower, he glanced at Su Yu and broke through the seal. The next moment, Bai Feng stood up. 61 Enlightenment. Bai Feng stood up and stroked his chin. Slowly, he said, I'll go down to take a look at some information. I'll be right up. Teacher. Schwa. Bai Feng disappeared. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 413, Honest Man Su Yu, thanks to the wild little boy from the Milky Way Alliance for the tip, 2. Chapter 413, Chapter 117 Honest Man Su Yu, thanks to the wild little boy from the Milky Way Alliance for the tip, 2. 3 levels underground. Bai Feng punched the wall. His hand hurt. He was awake. Looking at the calendar hanging on the wall, Bai Feng fell into deep thought. Had he been studying for too long recently and forgotten the time? I've already been down there for a month or two. After thinking for a while, he made a call and asked, Senior brother, what's the date today? The 9th. Why? That's not right. What month is it now? On the other end of the line, Chen Yong frowned. Did something go wrong with his junior brother's research? Did he lose consciousness? Bai Feng, are you all right? I'm fine, senior brother. What month is it? Hurry up and tell me. September 9th, year 350 of the Anping calendar. Junior brother, are you really all right? Bai Feng mumbled, that's right. It's the 9th. I've only stayed in the research room for less than a week. Bai Feng. Senior brother, when did Su Yu come out of seclusion last time? The 4th. He's been out of seclusion for 5 days now. What's going on? Bai Feng looked at the ceiling and felt like his heart was dying. Senior brother, last time I remember he came out of seclusion, he had 37 openings, right? Yes. Then tell me, can one person open 24 openings in 5 days? About 5 openings in a day. Senior brother, tell me, is there such a person? Chen Yong seemed to have realized something and said in disbelief, don't joke with me. Senior brother, what joke is this? Bai Feng said stiffly with a smile, I thought that I had stayed in the research room for a few months and thought that I had lost my sense of time and space. But you said that I didn't. Now, no, just now, that kid told me that his strength had become stronger. When I looked, he had opened 61 apertures. Chen Yong was also stunned. How many apertures had he opened? In 5 days, he had opened 24 apertures. How did he do it? How did he do it? I want to ask you, how did he do it? Bai Feng asked back. If you ask me, what do I know? These few days, I was in closed-door cultivation. I was underground. I didn't go up, how would I know? Are you sure you didn't see wrongly? Of course. Bai Feng said helplessly, I'm sure I didn't see wrongly. Moreover, someone helped him to seal the yuan qi fluctuation. I think it was done by a Lingyan realm. What's the situation? Go and ask him. Chen Yong said hurriedly, hurry up, I'll be there immediately. What's the situation? How could he reach the Qianjun 5th layer in a few days? There won't be any problems, right? Then I'll go and ask. Bai Feng was also extremely helpless. I don't know either. I forgot to ask just now. It was really too shocking. After venting for a while, Bai Feng changed his clothes and returned calmly. The 5th layer of Qianjun. Yes. Su Yu said happily, I went to the Yuan Qi mystic realm last night and bought some blood essence to cultivate. In the end, I actually broke through to the 5th layer of Qianjun. My cultivation speed is extremely fast. That Yuan Qi mystic realm is really a good place. Teacher, I'll have money later. I'll go there a few more times, but the expenses are a little too big. I'm almost out of merit points. Bai Feng nearly crushed the teacup that he had just obtained. He was running out of merit points. The heck? Are you going to soar, or am I going to soar? Why do I feel that you are spending money even more extravagantly than me, soaring? Furthermore, you are spending money too quickly. However, thinking about how this fellow is improving so quickly, Bai Feng somewhat understood. This fellow is willing to spend. Speaking of which, since he had improved so quickly, if it were me, I would be willing to spend as well. The seal on your body was created for you by the mystical realm. Seal. Su Yu quickly reacted. He nodded and said, when I came out, that teacher Huang created it for me. Bai Feng curled his lips. Do you think he's a good person? He must be the same as me. He must be curious to see how much you have broken through, so he specially came up with an excuse. 1000 June 5 layer. Bai Feng thought for a moment and said again, you absorbed the essence blood, is it the mountain-breaking ox essence blood? Yes, the mountain-breaking ox essence blood of the 1000-stone realm. Su Yu nodded and said, I feel the same as the 1000 June realm. Teacher, I think that those in the 1000-stone realm can also build their foundation, so why are they all fighting for the 1000 June realm? Bai Feng wanted to hit someone, so he said unhappily, do you think it's all you? Can those in the 1000-stone realm take it? 1 or 2 drops is fine, but tens or hundreds of drops, which 1000 June can take it. Did you think that everyone didn't know that the effect of 10,000 stones was better? Did you think that everyone was an idiot? The key was that a 1000-stone realm martial artist could absorb 1 or 2 drops of Qianjuan's body, but if there were too many drops, wouldn't they explode? Everyone also wanted to absorb the blood essence of a higher realm, but he didn't allow them to have the strength, so what could they do? Divine prose. Bai Feng looked at Su Yu's head again. He really wanted to dig open his head. No, dig open his sea of consciousness. Was it the influence of that divine prose again? Su Yu nodded honestly. Yes, teacher, the blood divine text is really amazing. Teacher, this first divine text has been of great help to me. I even feel that the blood divine text can break through to level 2. Crack. The teacup shattered, and tea splashed all over Bai Feng's white clothes. Bai Feng did not say anything. He raised his head to look at Su Yu and smiled. Good disciple, divine prose, is about to break through. Su Yu was a little frightened and nodded. Probably. Soon. I feel like it's about to happen. When did I go to Southern Origin? Mid-April. Oh, less than 5 months. Bai Feng smiled. Less than 5 months, and you don't know anything. Tell me, your divine prose might be about to break through to tier 2 now. Heh, do you think I believe you? You think I believe? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 414, Honest Su Yu, thanks to the wild little boy from the Milky Way Alliance for the tip, 3. Chapter 414, Chapter 117 Honest Su Yu, thanks to the wild little boy from the Milky Way Alliance for the tip, level 2 divine runes. Under normal circumstances, they would only transform when they were in the air. Did you become airborne? How many years did it normally take to become airborne? It was rare. For example, Wuxia, she had also spent 2 years, Bai Feng had spent 3 years, and that guy from the Great Zhou Manor had spent half a year. These were all talking about the time to enter the school. But before they entered the school, these people had already drawn up the divine text. It would take at least 5 years to go from tier 1 divine text to tier 2 divine text. Su Yu told me 5 months later that he might enter tier 2 divine text. And I wrote it for you. You can absorb blood essence to cultivate, you can unleash your innate skill, you can cultivate divine text by yourself, and you can advance in 5 months. Bai Feng suddenly felt that this was simply an all-purpose divine rune. It could even strengthen the body and open the acupoints. Glancing at Suyu, Bai Feng said with a dangerous look in his eyes, "Good disciple, when the time comes for you to materialize, if you don't show that divine rune to teacher for a few months, I'll tear you apart." He was about to go crazy. What divine rune was this? This was an eternal divine rune. F***ck, if the divine text he wrote was so powerful, wouldn't he become eternal? He didn't believe it, but he had no evidence. If you didn't materialize the divine text and didn't study it, who knew what kind of special ability it had? Just as he finished speaking, someone in the hall's corridor berated him, "Bai Feng, what nonsense are you spouting? Divine texts are the foundation of a divine scribe. Even a teacher can't casually observe it unless the student has such a request." After saying that, Chen Yong walked in and glared at Bai Feng. He looked at Su Yu and said, "Ignore your teacher. In the world of civilized teachers, divine runes are top secret. Even if it's your own teacher, unless you are willing, otherwise, you don't need to show your divine runes to anyone." Senior brother. "Hello, Uncle Master." Bai Feng glared at Su Yu, feeling a little helpless. He even felt like he was going crazy. "Senior brother, I was just casually saying. This kid's divine text is a little special. It was sketched by the will text I wrote for him. Now, he told me that he's about to advance to Tier 2, so I'm curious." "What?" Chen Yong was also stunned for a moment, and hurriedly said, "Su Yu, do you know the meaning of Tier 2 divine text? You haven't experienced this before. Are you feeling wrong?" Su Yu also didn't know, and he scratched his head and said, "I don't know. I just have a little bit of this feeling. The blood divine text is very powerful now, and its color has changed. I feel that it's different from the other divine texts. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's about to advance." Chen Yong could only say so. Otherwise, 5 months would indeed be a bit frightening. He wanted to see just what this divine text looked like. Moreover, he didn't know any more things. As such, how could Bai Feng not go crazy? This disciple had taken in his blood pressure that was going to be high recently. Chen Yong didn't say anything more about the divine text. Instead, he used his willpower to probe Su Yu and started to ponder. 61 apertures. 1,000-ton 5 weight. Bai Feng didn't lie to him. This martial nephew of his was really at the 1,000-ton 5 weight. It was so fast that he felt like he was in a trance. It's really at the critical mass stage. Chen Yong sighed and took a deep breath. He felt gratified but also helpless. With your talent, if you walk the path of the physical body, you might be able to soar into the sky or even Lingyun very soon. Su Yu smiled foolishly and said, "Martial uncle, it's the same. I can cultivate here as well. Besides, with you and teacher around, my cultivation will be faster and more motivated." Bai Feng rolled his eyes. "Flatterer. Why didn't I see you flattering me? When your uncle master came, your flattery was really loud." Then, he looked at Su Yu and eagerly poured tea for Chen Yong. Bai Feng felt his heart ache. "Bastard. Are you my student or Chen Yong's student?" He couldn't be bothered to look at Su Yu anymore. Bai Feng looked at Chen Yong and said, "Senior brother, do you think that his breakthrough so quickly is not just because of the divine text? This kid, could he have some bloodline inheritance?" Bloodline inheritance? Chen Yong fell into deep thought. After a moment, he said, "It's hard to say. Unless it's very obvious, there's a distinction between the overt and the covert aspects of a bloodline. I don't see anything like a bloodline mutation in Su Yu, so it's hard to judge." Su Yu asked curiously, "Senior uncle, teacher, what exactly is a bloodline inheritance?" This wasn't the first time he had heard this term. Bai Feng snorted, "It means that the bloodlines of the races are chaotic. In the past, when the myriad realms of the heavens first came into contact with the human realm, they did not have any desire to covet it. The races of humans, gods, demons, and immortals were not so hostile. Some of the experts of some races came to the human realm, and they might have had some kind of thing with some people at the human realm. After that, some of the bloodlines were passed down. Su Yu understood the meaning of hybridization. Chen Yong smiled and added, actually, it's not just this case. There are other possibilities. Some experts changed their bloodlines, and their descendants might also inherit it. For example, some human experts used the blood of gods and demons to replace their own blood, and it might reverse the bloodline. As soon as these words were said, Bai Feng said coldly, that was done by the Myriad Clan sect. Many people in the Myriad Clan sect have the same idea. To change from the human race to the god and demon race, that's a traitor. Chen Yong waved his hand and said, you can't say that. Some experts don't change for the sake of changing. Some people also do it for the sake of experimentation and research. These people also paid a huge price in the past. Their contributions are great. They can't be lumped together. Su Yu nodded and finally understood. Bai Feng didn't say anything else and said, this kid wants to compete with Jing Yunhui in martial arts and spar. Senior brother, do you think he has any hope of winning now? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 4:15, Honest Man Su Yu, thanks to the wild little boy from the White Milky Way Alliance for the tip, 4. Chapter 4:15, Chapter 117 Honest Man Su Yu, thanks to the wild little boy from the White Milky Way Alliance for the tip, 4. The fifth stage of Qianjun, combined with his innate blood essence, there is still a great chance. After saying that, he continued, if the divine prose really advances, then the hope is even greater. If Xing Yunhui only has his current strength, I'm afraid he might not be a match for Su Yu. As he said that, he was slightly startled and said softly, if Su Yu advances to the seventh stage of Qianjun, I'm afraid that even the top 100 rankings would be stable. Bai Feng and he looked at each other and did not say a word. The seventh layer of Qianjun meant that he was stable. In other words, Su Yu could actually try to challenge now. Of course, the chances of winning were not high, but if he could fight, he could be considered the strongest batch of students outside of the top 100 rankings. Su Yu had always thought that he was not strong. That was because all he saw were geniuses. Among those guys from the intermediate class, who could take one move from Su Yu? In the advanced class, there were actually only a few who could take one move from him. Su Yu was actually close to the top 100. This was really out of the two's expectations. Previously, Bai Feng had said that after a year, then half a year later, and then said that they would see if there was any hope for Su Yu to challenge the top 100 at the end of the year. In the end, it was now September. Su Yu did not seem to be far from the top 100 rankings. Was there any justice left? After the shock, Bai Feng coughed lightly and said, Senior brother. It will only be the end of the year in a few months' time. This kid, Su Yu, could he go and challenge the top 100 rankings for Jia to come out smoothly? Chen Yong frowned slightly and said, those kids are not weak. They did not just enter the top 100 for the first time. Although they are said to be in the top 70, in reality, they might be a little stronger. Even if Su Yu could challenge them, he would only enter the top 100. There were still 100 people in the top 100. They were of different levels. Then we'll see. Bai Feng didn't dwell on this matter and said in a low voice, there's one more thing. Senior brother, tell me if it can work. After saying that, he told Su Yu about his plan. Chen Yong looked at Su Yu in surprise. He couldn't tell that this junior nephew of his, who looked refined, actually had such guts and even wanted to scheme against Lu Hong. After looking at Su Yu for a while, Chen Yong didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he saw Su Yu scratching his head with a silly smile. After thinking for a while, Chen Yong said, the research center has been keeping an eye on a lot of people. Previously, when Su Yu unleashed his 10,000 stone combat power, there were actually quite a number of people who were wondering if there would be the appearance of the Soaring Realm's innate blood essence. After saying that, he looked at Su Yu and said, "Su Yu, actually, the research center's goal is to serve the human race in the end. However, there are a lot of human beings with 100 different kinds of hearts. Some things cannot be made public, such as some secret arts and combat techniques." Bai Feng interrupted him directly. "Simply put, we have invested so much and studied for so many years. Even if we make it public, we still have to get a return. This is inevitable. Only by paying the price can there be a return. After decades of time and research, the resources that our department has invested in this research, if converted into merit points, would be at least hundreds of thousands of points. Maybe even millions of merit points." Bai Feng snorted coldly. "Some people want to get something for nothing, or just send us away with a little merit points. In their dreams. If they neglect us like this, we would rather not make it public. This is not just a research project, but also benefits. If someone obtains the information in advance, and they intercept it and report it to the Quest Realm or the War God Hall in advance, then all our efforts will be in vain." Bai Feng snorted coldly. "Perhaps some people will say that it's all for the sake of the human race, so there's no need to separate them. Ridiculous, it's easy to say that. If you ask them to take out their own cultivation methods and take out their own property to share with us, will they agree?" He looked at Su Yu. Bai Feng said seriously, "Su Yu, remember, don't be bewitched by this so-called righteousness." What a laughable statement. There was such a group of people in the Myriad clan cult. It was extremely laughable. They didn't give anything and kept insisting that the various great academies and manors disclose all their secret manuals, all their battle techniques, all their martial techniques. They even wanted to share their resources. Bai Feng sneered and said, "Don't they think about what they gave up?" A group of ignorant fellows even joined in the jeering. "Why do others have them and we don't?" Su Yu scratched his head and said dryly, "Master, our lineage." Bai Feng glared at him and knew what he wanted to say. He said unhappily, "Scram. Are we the same as them? What we want is the fair treatment of the academy. Don't deliberately suppress it. We should give as much as others give. We shouldn't receive less than others if we give the same amount. It's not that we don't give merit points. Where do merit points come from? That's giving. It's not getting something for nothing. Don't confuse us with the Myriad clan religion, you idiot." Bai Feng scolded, "And who says we don't give? Your martial uncle is in charge of the library. Do you think this isn't giving? Your martial ancestor did his research with great care. There are many researchers in the academy doing research. The main task of researchers is to do research. Otherwise, why would they be called researchers? This is what everyone does. Those people in the academy are just deliberately looking for trouble. Which branch doesn't have people doing research? No one is criticizing them, but your grandmaster has been criticized time and time again." Bai Feng said in a deep voice, "In the past decades, although the research institute didn't produce too many results, it's still enough to maintain the status of the research institute. They always use the lack of results of their innate skills as an excuse to deliberately look for trouble. What do you think?" Bai Feng said unhappily, "Not to mention other things, the transfer of the characteristics of divine runes, the stripping of divine runes, the storage of blood essence, the use of the abandoned text of will, these technologies were all provided by our research institute. They deliberately ignored it. These technologies are used in many aspects." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 416, Honest Man Su Yu, thanks to the wild little boy from the White Milky Way Alliance for the tip, 5. Chapter 416, Chapter 117 Honest Man Su Yu, thanks to the wild little boy from the White Milky Way Alliance for the tip, 5. Now, the outside world's understanding of us is that we were once glorious a few decades ago. Now, we are eating the university's old capital. Ridiculous. The university allocates a small amount of funds every year. Most of the funds were obtained by your grandmaster himself. How did it become a useless research institute? Bai Feng's tone was unfriendly. He sneered and said, just our research institute, even if we take out any technology, it would still be better than those so-called high-end research institutes. Those research institutes are the ones that are really eating the university's capital. If the research isn't good, then the cooking isn't bad. I've eaten the fire dolphins that they made. Don't tell me, the taste is really good. Suyu wanted to laugh, but he held it in. Chen Yong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He coughed lightly and interrupted Bai Feng, saying, let's not talk about this. This matter with Suyu, perhaps we can do it. I'll see if we can draw out a group of fellows, or even those fellows from the Myriad clan cult. Chen Yong said in a deep voice, the information of our research institute has been leaked. I'm afraid that the ones who are interested aren't just some researchers from the academy, but also some fellows with ulterior motives. The blood essence technique of the explosive innate skill, it's still fine for those in the 10,000 stone realm, but once they have the explosive power of the soaring realm, it'll be different. Chen Yong pondered for a moment. He said, Bai Feng, you can test it out. Of course, if you use false information, it's fine if you fail, but if you succeed, you can fish out a group of people to take a look. Even if you can't confirm their identities, you can at least be more vigilant. Bai Feng hesitated. Will they believe you? It's hard to say. Then. Chen Yong suddenly said, how about this? You rest for a few days and go to the mystic realm to cultivate in seclusion. Don't stay in the research institute. After you broke through to the 7th level, you haven't cultivated. Try to reach the 8th level as soon as possible. Even Lu Hong is already at the 8th level, and you're still at the 7th level. It's too slow. You're not in the research institute. Suyu took away some of the information, so the credibility is even greater. If I leave now, will people suspect me? No worries. Chen Yong smiled and said, it's just right. In a few more days, Suyu will have a battle with Jing Yunhui again. If you leave a few days earlier, it won't be conspicuous. It's precisely because you left that Suyu has a chance to get the item, isn't it? Bai Feng nodded and said, there are still some flaws. Suyu's strength is still a little lacking. If it's the 7th layer of Qianjun, then of course there's nothing to say. The 5th layer of Qianjun. The 7th layer of Qianjun, then he should have won for sure. Chen Yong smiled and said, then he should have won for sure. Then how could he possibly export the information? Bai Feng nodded again and finally said, Senior brother, I'm afraid that if the news gets out, this kid will be in trouble. Will there be anyone who will take the risk? It's not to that extent. This is inside the academy, not outside. Here, they will only get it through some normal means. They definitely won't do it personally. Otherwise, do you really think that the Heart Cultivation Pavilion is just a idler? After saying that, he smiled and said, so Suyu's plan really succeeded. It is inevitable that he will receive a merit point. Moreover, 5,000 merit points, that is looking down on the research center too much. It is a little difficult to add a 0. I think it is not difficult to add more than 10,000 merit points. He looked at Suyu again, feeling somewhat gratified and somewhat emotional. This martial nephew of his was very bold. However, he did not act so honest. He was almost fooled. Then listen to senior brother. Bai Feng nodded and looked at Suyu. Suddenly, he said uncertainly, don't tell me that on the day of the sparring, you won the blood essence directly and tricked Jing Yunhui. Kid, if you do this, the Jing family will directly attack us. 3 drops of God and devil blood essence, and they are at the Lingyun realm. I'm also jealous, but if you really have such thoughts. Bai Feng shuddered and said, Zheng Ping will definitely go crazy. I can't take it your grandmaster is almost back. Su Yu had an innocent look on his face. No, I don't have such thoughts. However, he felt that what his teacher said made sense. What if I win? Then, 3 drops of blood essence would be mine. Teacher, how much is a drop of Lingyun realm blood essence? Bai Feng grimaced. F***ck, you're asking me the price. Do you really think so? At least 1,000 points for a drop of sky-bearing realm blood essence, and only the black market can buy it. Other places restrict resources. Lingyun realm blood essence is about the same, slightly higher, not much higher, because it's about the same as Qianjun Foundation establishment, but it's not cheap either. 1,500 points is definitely worth it. There's a price but no market. Once it really appears, it's not a matter of money. No matter how many merit points you have, you might not be able to buy it. Do you understand? I understand. Su Yu nodded, and his eyes lit up. It was really expensive. 3 drops, at least 5,000 merit points. Moreover, it was the kind that had a price but no market. If they were to really trade, it might be even more expensive. Teacher, if I accidentally win. Bai Feng's head was about to explode. You should give up on the duel. Lad, I can't take it even your martial uncle is having a hard time. The old Jin clan only has a few drops of the celestial blood essence. They have been bragging about it for many years. Now that you have obtained it, it would be strange if they don't find trouble with you. Of course, with your grand teacher around, you can win. Even if you are able to cheat them, it is still a feat. Bai Feng added. It wasn't that they couldn't scam him, it was just that they couldn't do it now. Hong Tan wasn't at home, and Zheng Ping had come knocking on their door. They couldn't take it. Even if they went to the academy, the final result would probably be that the academy would benefit. There was no other reason. What you sparred with in private were all prohibited items. I'll confiscate them all for you. Su Yu felt a little regretful. Forget it, I give up. I'm not that kind of person. Beating Jing Yunhui, how embarrassing. We're all friends on the same side. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 417, Great Wisdom is like a Fool One. Chapter 417, Chapter 118 Great Wisdom is like a Fool One. Bai Feng was also a person who acted swiftly and decisively. He had said that he would go to the mystic realm for closed-door cultivation, so there was no delay. He immediately packed up and was about to leave. Su Yu was actually very curious. Did Bai Feng have the money to go to the mystic realm? He was seriously suspecting. Of course, it might be an opportunity for a reward, so he did not ask much. Before he left, Bai Feng seemed to have thought of something as he casually said, "Don't forget to feed those fellows. If they die, it won't be easy to explain to your grandmaster. The Yuan Qi liquid is all in the storeroom. Did you see it?" Su Yu's expression was very complicated. It was so complicated that Bai Feng stopped in his tracks and turned to look at him. The master and disciple looked at each other. Soon, Bai Feng muttered, "It should be fine. I remember feeding them once on the 30th of last month. It's only been 10 days. They shouldn't die, right?" Su Yu was dumbfounded. "Teacher, you fed him last month? I thought you fed him on the 4th. Then, why didn't you feed him when we went to see him last time? It's been 10 days. He didn't starve to death, right?" Bai Feng looked at Su Yu and thought for a moment before saying seriously, "Anyway, he was fine when I handed him to you on the 4th. Even if he really starved to death, it's your responsibility for your grandteacher's return. Su Yu, you're finished." Su Yu looked like he was about to cry. "Teacher, you shouldn't be dead, right? Then how would I know?" Bai Feng said irresponsibly, it has nothing to do with me. I'm leaving. You're in charge of the research center now. After saying that, Bai Feng ran away. Yes, he ran very fast. How would I know if he was dead or not? In any case, it had nothing to do with me. It was Su Yu's responsibility. Now that his teacher was back, he had to get him to beat up his grand disciple. He ran really fast. Su Yu felt helpless. He thought that he should be able to survive. Even the weakest of them is at the level of 7 Dan. How many days has it been? Forget it, I'll go take a look. In the detention area. It was extremely quiet. The golden lion was lying on the ground, unable to maintain its dignity anymore. It was weak, and its eyes were unfocused. A moment later, a low voice sounded, "Are you hungry?" No one. No demon paid it any attention. Nonsense, are you hungry? It was not 1 or 2 years since it was unable to absorb yuan qi and had to be drained of blood from time to time. It had been many years. The strength of these few demons had long waned. How could they not be hungry? In the past, Bai Feng would come to feed them from time to time. But now, it was a new person. How many days had it been since they last came? If it weren't for the fact that the weakest of the demonic beasts were able to fly, they would have starved to death for many years. Save your strength. The shadow's voice was still faint. It's good that you're used to it. I came earlier than you. Back then, Hong Tan didn't take Bai Feng as his disciple. Chen Yong went out to do something, and Hong Tan didn't feed me for 3 months. It was good that he was used to it. Back then, Hong Tan didn't come to feed him for 3 months, and he survived. It had only been a few days. This little swan Ni was impatient. A few days ago, I told you not to mess around, but you insisted on doing so. After being electrocuted for half a day, you had exhausted a lot of energy. Otherwise, you would not have ended up like this, starving to death after only 10 days without any supplies. Look at the water people, how good they were. They never spoke much, and they would turn into a puddle of water whenever they had nothing to do. They did not use up much energy either, and they would not die without eating or drinking for a year. The swan and I also did not reply. It did not have the strength to reply. Hungry. It was really hungry. Its strength was not considered too strong. It was only at the 9th level of the soaring cloud realm. Naturally, it could not compare to this fellow, Shadow. This fellow was at the 3rd level of the Ling Yun realm. Just as he was thinking about this, the swan Ni's big ears trembled slightly. They're here. The swan and I wanted to cry. It finally remembered them. Someone had come. If they did not come, it would really starve to death here. The sound of Su Yu's footsteps could be heard from the stairwell. Su Yu hurriedly went down the stairs and entered the hall. When he saw Swan and I staring at him with widened eyes, he heaved a sigh of relief. This big lion was not dead yet. Are they still alive? No one answered. Su Yu frowned. Numbers 1 to 5, give me a count. If you don't give me a count, I'll treat it as if I'm dead. There won't be any yuan qi liquid later, and you're still being pretentious. I don't even have any yuan qi liquid to use myself. It's already not bad if I give it to you guys, but you're still throwing a tantrum at me. 1. 2. At the next moment, voices came from the 5 metal cages one after another. They couldn't hold on anymore. They had to admit defeat, and they still had to admit defeat. Su Yu was relieved now. They were all alive, but it was still all right. Su Yu threw yuan qi liquid into the cages as he said, I've been busy recently, so I forgot about your matters. Swan and I anxiously absorbed the yuan qi liquid as he said, Kid, what are you busy with? US experts are here, let's hear it. Maybe we can help you solve it. Remember to come on time next time. That's right, little Suyu. If there's any problem, big sister can help you. The white fox also spoke. There was no hint of temptation in his voice, only emptiness and innocence. Just like the little sister next door. Suyu said unhappily, all of you are imprisoned fellows. You are prisoners. Help me with what? A bastard that weighs 1,007 tons is looking for trouble with me. I was just preparing to cultivate bitterly and fight back. Qian Jun. Swan Ni's big eyes revealed a hint of disdain. A mere Qian Jun. If I go out, I'll blow him to death in one breath. Nonsense. If my grandmaster makes a move, I'll blow you to death in one breath too. Suyu said unhappily, fighting with someone of the same level, do you understand? Are you very powerful at the 9th layer of the soaring heaven realm? Swan Ni's eyes flashed with a fierce light and soon disappeared. He said, it's easy to defeat him when you are at the 1000 June realm. At this time, speed is king. I'll let the white fox teach you how to comprehend the divine language of the Li clan. The Li clan has speed-type divine language. After you comprehend it, your speed will soar. The 1000 June realm is still at your mercy. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 418, Great Wisdom Like a Fool 2. Chapter 418, Chapter 118 Great Wisdom Like a Fool 2. Divine Prose. Suyu asked in surprise, this white cat knows divine prose. Little Suyu, big sister isn't a cat, she's a white fox. In the cage, the white kitten looked at Suyu and walked gracefully. It said with a smile, in terms of strength, the fox clan is far inferior to other races, and even inferior to low-level races. However, the fox clan's speed is famous throughout the world. As for the white raccoons, we are the royal race of the raccoons. After comprehending the divine wind script, our speed has reached its peak. The white raccoons. Suyu asked curiously, are you also civilized masters? According to what you humans say, we are indeed civilized masters. The white raccoon said, we also master the divine wind script, but we don't learn as many as you humans do. We usually master a few divine wind scripts. For example, my sister only has 2 divine wind scripts, both of which are divine wind scripts. One is wind, and the other is swift. Swift wind. Suyu asked, are you fast? Of course. Even though my sister is only at the 8th level of the soaring heavens realm, Ling Yun couldn't catch up to me on the battlefield of the heavens. That divine script can be passed down. Suyu was even more curious. You're already like this, yet you can still teach me the divine script. You don't even have the text of will. Silly brother. The white raccoon laughed crisply. I can write it. I'll write it on the spot for you to see. Prepare some things to transcribe the text of will for me, and I'll write it for you to see. Hee hee. Suyu said disdainfully, do you think I'm stupid? Writing this will definitely require blood essence or something like that. When the time comes, what if you take it and don't write it or keep it for yourself? My master has also written it before. It's fine even if you don't need essence blood. I'll just give you a piece of paper. I'll believe you if you write it. The white raccoon cursed inwardly. I've gone mad. I can't hold on much longer. If I don't use any other supplementary items at this time and directly copy it for you, that would be courting death. Just as the white raccoon was thinking about this, the shadow suddenly said, it's actually fine to not use essence blood to write the essay of will. It's just that the effect would be much worse. Suyu, if you're willing to give me a few more drops of essence blood, I'll write an essay of the Shadow Clan's will for you. Suyu said in surprise, you can do it too. Of course. The Shadow said faintly, the Shadow Clan are all natural-born civilized masters. You will really write it for me? Just give me a few more drops of Yuan Qi liquid. You won't harm me, right? Suyu frowned and said, I'm not stupid. The will of the text might be fake. You won't give me fake cultivation techniques or secret manuals, right? Not only will I not be able to comprehend the divine text, I might even lose my will and die. After saying that, he said, No, don't talk to me. Teacher is right. You guys only know how to bewitch people. Suyu turned around and was about to leave. Swan and I and the rest were anxious. It was not easy for Suyu to come down. If they left, who knew when he would come again? There was really not much time left. Suyu, don't be anxious. The shadow suddenly said, How about we make a deal? You give me 10 drops of yuan qi liquid, and I'll write a text of will for you. Just as it finished speaking, the white raccoon suddenly said, Don't believe him. The Shadow Clan is very cunning, and he is also very strong. 10 drops of yuan qi liquid might allow him to recover his strength. Sister will write an article for you. 5 drops will do. With that said, the white raccoon hurriedly said, The Shadow Clan has an innate skill that can be attached to other people's shadows. But I know that they can actually attach some things to other items, such as the article of will. If you take his things, be careful not to let him run away or send a message. Suyu's expression changed. The shadow said angrily, White raccoon, how dare you spout nonsense? The white raccoon snorted lightly, They are all prisoners. If you want to leave, I want to leave too. I do not wish to escape from this place. I only wish for better treatment in the future. Brother Suyu, I do not wish to leave the Institute of Civilization. I only hope that one day, when they want to kill my sister, you can plead on my behalf. Even if I am sent to the Beast Tamer Academy to be treated as a pet, it is still better than death. They are very ambitious and all want to escape. Bailey, you speak as if you don't want to run. Why are you pretending to be innocent? I'm not as stupid as you. Run. Where do you want to run to? This is the human realm, not the heavenly battlefield. Bailey looked at Suyu once again. His kitten-like face revealed a hint of sadness. Brother Suyu, you know what I'm thinking. 5 drops of yuan qi liquid is actually not worth the loss. I'm only doing it so that I can take care of you in the future. Suyu frowned. I don't believe your words. All of you are very sinister. I have to go back and ask teacher before I can make a decision. Bailey hurriedly said, I'm not lying to you. If you ask by phone will probably covet our text of will. Do you think he will still give it to you? We heard it the last time. He even wants to deduct your own merit points. Suyu's eyes changed. He snorted and turned around to go upstairs. Behind him, Bailey shouted again, Believe in sister, brother Suyu. If you want to become stronger, you can't hesitate. If you become stronger, sister will have a chance to leave this place. Believe in me. Suyu had already left. The sound of the door closing could be heard. After he left, after a while, the shadow said faintly, This little guy is very cautious. If we don't give him some real benefits, I'm afraid it will be difficult to move him. After saying that, he paused and said, I really don't have anything else. You guys, do you have anything good left? At this moment, it's already death to keep it. Why don't we take a gamble and let him taste some sweetness first?